Chapter 810, The Pavilion Master. Chapter 810, The Pavilion Master. They were too close indeed. With such close distance, although Jian Wushuang had just performed the mind-controlling secret skill, and Lei Xian only paused for a moment in shock, Jian Wushuang's twilight move had already attacked him. Splash! The sword light momentarily pierced Lei Xian's head and shattered his life core. Lei Xian, an expert at Step 5 of the Entral Realm, had died. After slaying Lei Xian, Jian Wushuang took away his interspatial ring and treasures, and then stood there, looking at the Blood Mountain sword in his hand with his eyes blazing. It's at Step 6. Previously, I did my best, but my battle strength could only reach the top of Step 5. But with the Blood Mountain sword, my battle strength soared to Step 6. Moreover, this sword is so powerful that with only 5 blows, it shattered Lei Xian's eternal weapon. This sword is so terrifying. Terrifying. That was what Jian Wushuang really thought about the Blood Mountain sword. It is indeed a sword that Xian Yi refined himself. It is worthy of being a supreme magic weapon that is above the eternal realm. Jian Wushuang marveled at the Blood Mountain sword in his heart. The power of this sword was far beyond his imagination. Unfortunately, I am too weak to urge its full power now, but a small fraction of the power that I could urge is enough to make me much more powerful. When I break through to the eternal realm and even become a Tao master, I should be able to exert all its power. How formidable will I be then? Jian Wushuang secretly looked forward to it. In fact, he still had a slight distance from the eternal realm, let alone to become a Tao master. In a short period of time, it was impossible for him to fully exert the power of Blood Mountain sword. Jian Wushuang regained his composure after a moment. Lei Xian is dead. Then Jian Wushuang murmured and looked far away at the other battlefield with a chill in his eyes. In another battlefield, his puppet fighter of the Eternal Realm was fighting against Mr. Wu furiously. Previously, Jian Wushuang had ordered the puppet fighter to pester Mr. Wu so that he wouldn't have a chance to interfere with Jian Wushuang's fight with Lei Xian. Thus, the puppet fighter didn't do his best, but he still crushed Mr. Wu. Mr. Wu's panic increased when he saw Jian Wushuang in the battlefield. What happened? Mr. Wu looked around blankly and asked, "Why are you here alone? Where's Lei Xian?" He had just been overwhelmed by the puppet fighter. Moreover, the two battlefields were far apart, so he did not witness Jian Wushuang killing Lei Xian. Lei Xian, Jian Wushuang looked at Mr. Wu with a thin smile and answered, "He's dead. If you want to find him, I can send you to see him." Lei Xian is dead. Mr. Wu glared at him, but then shook his head and said, "That's impossible. You're just a divine realm expert. How can you kill Lei Xian? You'll know in a minute whether I can kill him or not, because you'll die too." Jian Wushuang said fiercely, the viciousness in his eyes raging. Now he had killed Lei Xian and suppressed Su Ming. Actually, the goal had been achieved. But because of Mr. Wu's appearance, he had to have his puppet fighter to fight against him. You knew, every strike the puppet fighter of the Eternal Realm made would cost a great deal of divine gems. The fierce battle between Jian Wushuang and Lei Xian lasted for a long time, during which the puppet fighter kept fighting with Mr. Wu and consumed more than 10 million divine gems. The cost was too great that Jian Wushuang had to kill Mr. Wu to cover it. "Kill him now," Jian Wushuang ordered, without hesitation. Upon hearing the command, the 3-meter-high puppet fighter exerted his real power. At the same time, Millions of divine gems in Jian Wushuang's interspatial ring were immediately consumed, and he darted towards Mr. Wu at an alarming speed. He was going too fast. It was far beyond what an expert at Step 5 of the Eternal Realm could do. Even the average experts at Step 6 of the Eternal Realm could not move so fast. Why is he so fast? Mr. Wu looked terrified. In the meanwhile, he also noticed that Jian Wushuang was coming to him. Damn it! He tried to flee, but the Eternal Realm puppet fighter had caught up. As the puppet fighter held his right hand, his fist condensed terrifying power, and then burst out at Mr. Wu. The power contained in this fist was much more powerful than that of the previous one. It was an earth-shaking blow with the power that had reached the peak of Step 6 of the Eternal Realm, and Mr. Wu had sensed it clearly. His eyes were blank, and his heart was filled with despair. But at this moment, humph! A cold snort like a sudden explosion of thunder from the calm void suddenly sounded on the sea. This cold hum also carried a terrifying power, which hit the puppet fighter immediately. The puppet fighter's attack was immediately resolved, and his 3-meter-high figure retreated like a cannonball. He rolled over continuously and only regained his position after a long while. What? Jian Wushuang was shocked. The puppet fighter had gone all out and burst the battle strength of the peak of Step 6. Generally speaking, he could compete with an expert at the peak of Step 6 of the Eternal Realm. But now, he had not even seen the opponent, but was blasted out by a cold snort. How strong? Jian Wushuang wondered. With a burst of buzzing, a tall figure suddenly came. He was a bald man in a holy white robe. He looked cold, and his eyes were filled with faint anger. A suffocating, horrifying pressure came out of him. As soon as Jian Wushuang noticed the pressure, he frowned and his heart tightened. This coercion was definitely by no means from an Eternal Realm expert. Thus, the strength of this bald man was beyond doubt. He was a Tao master. Here came a Tao master. Seeing the sudden appearance of the bald man, desperate Mr. Wu instantly revealed a look of surprise. He looked at the man with enthusiasm in his eyes and bowed low to him. Pavilion Master. Pay respects to Pavilion Master. Mr. Wu called out excitedly. Pavilion Master? Jian Wushuang's face changed. Like Lei Xian, Mr. Wu was also a man of the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion. Thus, the bald man was the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master. He was one magnate of the 6 biggest forces on Cercis Island. He was a real Tao master. Did the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master come here because I killed Lei Xian? Jian Wushuang wondered, knitting his brows. Then he looked at the bald man, feeling bitter and puzzled. This is outside of Cercis Island. Why did the Pavilion Master of Heavenly Cloud Pavilion come here? Chapter 8:11, Punishment from the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master. Chapter 8:11, Punishment from the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master. The Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master, the bald man who was exuding an air of authority, looked around before fixing his gaze on Mr. Wu. You're an expert at the top of Step 5 of the Eternal Realm, but you almost got yourself killed by a divine realm expert. You really know how to give credit to my name. Humph, he said in a deep voice containing power. Mr. Wu shivered a little and hurriedly replied, Pavilion Master, I'm sorry for my incompetence, but his strength is extraordinary. He is the most incredible divine realm expert I have ever met. He has already killed Elder Lei Xian, and he even has a very terrifying puppet fighter. I really am no match for him. Humph! Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master gave a cold snort and paid no more attention to Mr. Wu. Instead, he turned his slightly angry eyes towards Jian Wushuang. Young man, You killed a guest elder of my heavenly cloud pavilion, and you even tried to kill a second one. You're quite bold, he said. His deep voice placed undue pressure upon Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang momentarily paled. The pressure on his body was very painful to him. Fortunately, his body was much stronger than those of his peers, or else the pressure would have overwhelmed him. Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master. Jian Wushuang hastened to open his mouth while speaking in a tone of respect. Regardless of whether the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master was at odds with him, he was still a Tao master and worthy of his respect. I have a reason for killing Lei Xian, his disciple. Su Ming betrayed our master and almost caused the extinction of our bloodline. We were sworn enemies. I had to kill him, but Lei Xian stopped me and even tried to kill me for his disciple. Jian Wushuang said straightforward. Then he added, since he wanted to kill me, I certainly wouldn't stand for it. And Mr. Wu came with him to help kill me, so I certainly would not let him off either. Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master, if you were me, you wouldn't go easy on someone who wanted to kill you, would you? Humph, you're so sharp-tongued. No matter what reason you have, it is an incontrovertible fact that you killed a guest elder of Heavenly Cloud Pavilion. The Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master said coldly, but you're lucky to have met me instead of one of the others. The Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master went on, I'm the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master, a Tao Master, but you're just a divine realm expert. I won't deal with you personally, but punishment is inevitable. Hand over all the treasures and divine gems you got from Lei Xian. Then give me another 30 million divine gems as compensation. If you do, I'll let it go at that. Jian Wushuang's face darkened a little at his words. Handing over all the treasures and divine gems he got from Lei Xian, then another 30 million divine gems as compensation. Okay, I'll give it to you. Jian Wushuang agreed after pondering for a second. Then he handed out 2 interspatial rings. Here are 2 interspatial rings. One was Lei Xian's, I have not had time to look into. The other contains 20 million divine gems and treasures worth around 10 million. The Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master took the 2 rings and took a quick glance into them before nodding. All right, I will not pursue this matter. You can go now. Thank you, Pavilion Master. Jian Wushuang breathed a sigh of relief, withdrew the Eternal Realm Puppet Fighter, and then left immediately. The Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master and Mr. Wu, who stood respectfully there, were alone on the surface of the sea. Mr. Wu looked at the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master strangely. He knew that the Pavilion Master had always defended his people. Moreover, Lei Xian had a high position in the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion. Now, Lei Xian had been killed. Although he did not wish to kill Jian Wushuang personally because of his identity, he should not have let him go after only requiring 30 million divine gems as compensation. He had never seen such a powerful divine realm expert like Jian Wushuang. He had many means and must have extraordinary stuff. Leaving aside the other things, the Eternal Realm Puppet Fighter was priceless. However, the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master only asked Jian Wushuang for 30 million divine gems. Didn't he go too easy on Jian Wushuang? Mr. Wu dared not ask the Pavilion Master these questions, so he kept them in his heart. You go back first. I have something to do, the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master said as he left. Mr. Wu also left after bowing respectfully towards the direction in which the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master had disappeared. Outside Cercis Island, above the boundless sea, there was a skinny silver-haired elder with a hunchback sitting on a purple exotic beast. The purple exotic beast was running freely through the sky, leaping dozens of miles with each step. With a swoosh, a man appeared beside the purple exotic beast. It was the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master who had just punished Jian Wushuang. Lord, the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master reverently bowed to the skinny elder. What? Do you feel that his punishment is too light, so you are dissatisfied with this? The elder asked, then looked at him with a smiling face. Humph, he really is lucky. Without your command, I would have slapped him to death, the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master said in a low voice. Ha! If you had slapped him to death, you would have been in trouble now. The elder smiled casually and continued speaking. He is by no means an ordinary person. After saying this, the elder squinted slightly, and his voice became grave. His bloodline is extraordinary. He is very weak now, but even I dare not underestimate the potential of his bloodline. As a divine realm expert, he possesses such a formidable battle strength. It's incredible. He is an amazing person. In addition to his own great opportunities, someone like that must have a very capable person behind him. It may be his master or his elder, and that person is definitely one of a few truly mighty people. Even I dare not offend those people. The elder took a glance at the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master. Besides, did you notice his scarlet magic sword? The elder demanded suddenly. Yes, the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master nodded. His strength is not much stronger than Lei Xian's, but he completely suppressed Lei Xian with his magic sword, and his battle strength suddenly reached step 6. In my opinion, the sword should be an emperor weapon. The Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master and the skinny elder had been watching the fight between Jian Wushuang and Lei Xian from nearby. However, when Lei Xian was killed, the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master did not come forward to stop Jian Wushuang. Only when Mr. Wu was about to be killed did he appear. An emperor weapon? The elder nodded. It is at least an emperor weapon, but I can't tell which level it is at. The accomplishments of the person who made that magic sword has definitely reached great heights in refining weapons. That magic weapon used special means to hide its strangeness. If we had not seen him use that magic weapon to kill Lei Xian, we would have never known its true value. A person who can refine such amazing emperor weapons can never be unknown in the eternal world. With his ability, the person can easily call several powerful Dao masters to act as his thugs and easily become an overlord as long as he is willing to pay them with an emperor weapon. Yes, the person who refined that magic weapon really is powerful. The Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master agreed with him, seriously. Therefore, it makes sense to only punish him slightly instead of killing him. If you really killed him, do you think you would be able to keep your life after the people behind him found out? The elder said with a sly smile. After hearing this, the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master was drenched in cold sweat. He hurriedly said, "Thank you for reminding me, Lord. You're one of my people." "Of course I will help you," the elder replied. "You just punish him a little and he will neither care nor hate you. As long as you don't bother with him in the future, this matter will be over." "I know," the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master nodded. "All right, I have been out for a long time. It was interesting to see such an amazing young man, but it's time to go back." The elder went on. "By the way, the second master of the Xia Clan will arrive at Cercis Island tomorrow. Greet him for me." The second master of the Xia Clan? The one who is known as the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world? The Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master asked. Then his face changed, and he said, "I wonder if he can beat swordsmen." Chapter 8:12 An Invitation from the Governor. Chapter 8:12 An Invitation from the Governor. Jian Wushuang walked slowly, with some trepidation, alone over the sea on the perimeter of Cercis Island. "I didn't expect the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master to show up because I killed Lei Xian," Fortunately, he did not give me a hard time due to his status, and only asked me to pay him some divine gems to save face. He pondered. He didn't care about having to pay those divine gems for compensation at all. 30 million was a lot of divine gems, but an expert at step 5 of the Eternal Realm would be able to afford it. Instead of killing him, the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master simply asked him for some divine gems, which was lucky enough for Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang, Jian Wushuang. A wild cry rose abruptly in Jian Wushuang's mind. His expression changed as he turned his hand over, and then a miniature mountain immediately appeared in his hand. It was the sword mountain form of the Blood Mountain sword, and Su Ming was in it, being suppressed. Su Ming, what are you trying to say? Jian Wushuang said in a deep voice, while looking at the miniature mountain. Jian Wushuang, let me go, Su Ming begged bitterly. As long as you let me go, I will serve you as my master and obey you from now on. Huh, serve me as your master? Jian Wushuang asked in a mock and frosty tone. If you were strong, perhaps I would have some respect for you, but you're such an incompetent and shameless person. Do you think I'll forget that the bloodline of the sword ancestor was destroyed because of a piece of crap like you? It's really not worth it. Jian Wushuang thoroughly despised Su Ming for being so spineless. Jian Wushuang. Su Ming tried to continue, but Jian Wushuang interrupted him with a cold snort. With a thought, Jian Wushuang stirred a raging fire restriction inside the Sword Mountain, which sent out clusters of flames towards Su Ming. These flames could not kill Su Ming, since he was a superior divine realm expert, but they could make him miserable. His cries of pain were heard echoing from the Sword Mountain. Su Ming, you're in my hands now, Jian Wushuang said in a chilly manner. I'll make sure you enjoy yourself. He would never show mercy to Su Ming, because the thing he hated most was betrayal. Now that Su Ming had been suppressed inside Sword Mountain once again, Jian Wushuang could use some of the restrictions within the Sword Mountain to torture him, and he knew Su Ming's every move. So when Su Ming could no longer bear the torture and tried to commit suicide, he would prevent him from killing himself. Su Ming would learn firsthand what Jian Wushuang's remark meant. Now that you're in my hands, I will help you understand how lucky it is to be dead. A moment later, Jian Wushuang stopped on a small island and regulated his breath to recover his spiritual power. By the time he regained his peak condition and returned to Cercis Island, it was already the next morning. The moment he reached Yang Zishuan's mansion, Yang Zishuan came out to meet him. How did it turn out? Third brother? Yang Zishuan asked with concern. It went well. Lei Xian is dead, and my sworn enemy is now in my hands, Jian Wushuang answered. Good. Yang Zishuan nodded. At this time, a sergeant of the Cercis army came to them. Commander, His Excellency, the governor, has sent word that he wants you to see him now, and that he would like for you to bring your friend with you, the sergeant said, and cast a deliberate glance at Jian Wushuang. Ah! Yang Zishuan's face changed. Then he exchanged a strange look with Jian Wushuang. The governor of the Cercis army had great power on Cercis Island. As a commander of the Cercis army, Yang Zishuan was under the command of that governor, so it was natural for the governor to call for him. But it was odd that the governor had specifically asked him to bring Jian Wushuang with him. I never told the governor about you, so how does he know about you? Why did he call you there? Yang Zishuan raised these questions in bewilderment. Ha! We'll know when we see him, Jian Wushuang replied with a smile. After speaking for a moment, they went to meet the governor of the Cercis army. The moment they flew out of the courtyard into the sky, they sensed a group of dozens of people quickly passing by. Most of the people in the group were sergeants of the Cercis army, and some were famous Eternal Realm experts on Cercis Island. In addition, Jian Wushuang knew the person at the center of the group. The Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master. He gazed at him. He had just seen the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master outside of Cercis Island last night, so he recognized him at a glance. He's a Tao Master? Yang Zixuan had also seen the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master. They just happened to be going in the same direction, so they followed the group. Not long after, they arrived at the edge of Cercis Island. Dozens of people stood quietly in the area, seemingly waiting to meet someone. A Tao Master personally came to welcome someone. Is there a big shot coming to Cercis Island? Yang Zixuan muttered. Maybe, Jian Wushuang said as he nodded slightly. Tao Masters were very respected individuals, so the person whom a Tao Master personally greeted had to be a big shot. After a short while, they saw a silver-white alien lion, surrounded by a group of warriors dressed in silver, gradually appear above Cercis Island. A handsome silver-haired young man in a white robe stood on the back of the alien lion. The lion was running fast, but the young man had been standing still with an attractive smile that never left his face. The young man was alone on the giant alien lion, but amongst the people around him there was a vigorous elder who was close by. The elder looked a little cold and exuded a terrifying aura. It was an aura that belonged to a Tao Master. Apparently, he was also a Tao Master. After seeing the people who were moving in his direction, the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master, who had been waiting quietly, laughed, and his hearty laugh echoed over the entire Cercis Island. Then he said, "Welcome to Cercis Island, Second Master. It's an honor to have you here. I'm Tianyun, and I am here to welcome you on behalf of our Lord." Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master, I've heard so much about you. The young man on the alien lion smiled humbly and calmly, even though he was facing a Tao Master. Our Lord has prepared a feast to welcome you. Second Master, please come with me, the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master said. All right, the young man said, and nodded, then cast a glance at the elder beside him, and said, "Let's go, elder." Then the group of people went toward the mansion of the Lord of Cercis Island, the Grand Cercis Castle. As soon as the group left, the streets of the entire Cercis Island buzzed. Chapter 813, the Xia Clan. Chapter 813, the Xia Clan. They're from the Xia Clan, and that man is their second master. It's him. No wonder the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master came to greet him personally. It turned out to be the second master of the Xia Clan. It is said that he is known as the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world. The #1 divine realm expert? Really? Yes, of course. Rumor has it that he, as a divine realm expert, once defeated an expert at the top of Step 4 of the divine realm. It's incredible. A divine realm expert defeated an expert at the top of Step 4 of the eternal realm. How could that be? Nothing is impossible. There are overwhelming numbers of exceptional geniuses in the eternal world, and the second master is definitely one of the greatest ones. Not only that, I heard that his elder brother is more incredible than him. The whole Cercis Island was currently in a hubbub, and the topic was the second master of the Xia Clan that they had just seen. At this moment, Jian Wushuang and Yang Zixuan stood side by side in the air and watched the second master fly off into the distance. The second master of the Xia Clan? What's his background? Jian Wushuang asked. He had been in the firmament territory since arriving in the eternal world, so it was his first time leaving. He knew so little about the eternal world and had never heard of the Xia Clan. My master has mentioned the Xia Clan to me, answered Yang Zixuan. Jian Wushuang was intrigued and quickly turned to face Yang Zixuan. After all, Yang Zishuan's master was Emperor Shao, one of the 4 great emperors in the Tang of the East. Since Emperor Shao had once mentioned the Xia clan, it meant that they were by no means an ordinary clan. My master said that during the founding of the Tang of the East, there were many powerful clans there. These clans mostly have a long history, and the Xia clan is the most powerful among them. They are called the Overlord clan in the Tang of the East, and are recognized as the most powerful clan, Yang Zishuan said. An Overlord clan? Jian Wushuang's heart throbbed. That was an extremely high assessment for a clan. That meant the Xia clan must have an extraordinary history. The Xia clan existed when the Tang Emperor built the Tang of the East, and whether it was during the reign of the Tang Emperor or during the prosperous age of the Tang of the East, when the 4 great emperors reigned together, the Tang of the East has always been wary of them, added Yang Zishuan. Been wary of them? Jian Wushuang asked in surprise. Technically, it was just that they're being careful. Yang Zishuan nodded, and went on, when my master talked about the Xia clan, his words clearly contained a hint of anxiety towards them. When I asked him why, he said that it was because the Xia clan has an extremely horrifying ancestor. Even the Tang Emperor and Empress Qing, the most powerful emperor of the 4 great emperors, did not dare to look down on him. Even in the heyday of the Tang of the East, they didn't interfere with each other. But now, the overall strength of the Tang of the East has been greatly weakened, and Empress Lung is the only one of the 4 great emperors in charge of the country. Thus, their uneasiness towards the Xia clan must have deepened. Oh, Jian Wushuang nodded. Now, he had a general understanding of what was going on. I have also heard of the 2nd master of the Xia clan. He is Xia Yan, an exceptional genius that his clan carefully cultivated. Even though he is in the divine realm, he once beat an expert at the top of Step 4 of the Eternal Realm, so he is recognized as the number 1 divine realm expert in the eternal world. Yang Zishuan added. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. You're reading on Novelful. TKS. The eternal world was vast, with innumerable experts and countless geniuses. The firmament territory was only a common domain. In the eternal world, there were very few experts in the divine realm there that were strong enough to contend with ordinary eternal realm experts, let alone competing with stronger ones. Therefore, within the firmament territory, even the strongest divine realm experts could only contend with an ordinary eternal realm expert. But that was nothing serious if you looked throughout the vast eternal world. In the eternal world, truly strong divine realm experts were rare, but there were some. Just looking at Cercis Island, almost all the divine realm experts who won 10 consecutive victories in the blood battle arena were fairly strong divine realm experts. Here, the ordinary divine realm experts could only be compared with the experts at Step 1 of the Eternal Realm, while some of the exceptional divine realm experts could be compared with the experts at Step 2 or even Step 3 of the Eternal Realm. As a super genius carefully cultivated by the Xia clan, and the number 1 divine realm expert recognized by the eternal world, it was normal for Xia Yan to be able to defeat an expert at the peak of Step 4 of the eternal realm. Xia Yan is powerful indeed, but compared with you, he isn't so impressive. You killed Lei Xian after all. When you are in a good mood in the future, go and directly challenge him, so you can claim the title of the number 1 divine realm expert in the eternal world. Yang Zishuan said nonchalantly. Haha, second brother, don't make fun of me. Jian Wushuang laughed. Xia Yan is the 2nd master of the Xia clan. With such a high status, he must have many trump cards and skills. Even if I could defeat him, I'm not stupid enough to offend him for an empty title. After all, he is from the Xia clan. Yes, you're right. Yang Zishuan nodded slightly as well. Actually, neither Jian Wushuang nor Yang Zishuan were interested in empty titles like the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world and the #1 genius. The only thing they desired was substantial benefits. All right, stop chatting. Let's go. Your captain is likely to have waited anxiously, Jian Wushuang said. Then they set off again. It didn't take long for them to arrive at the military camp of the Cercis army. After they arrived at the military camp, they quickly met the governor of the Cercis army. He was a middle-aged man who looked burly, but according to his aura, he was not someone to be underestimated. There were many experts in the Cercis army. However, the middle-aged man was not a Dao master, but as a governor, he was almost invincible amongst experts in the eternal realm. Governor, Yang Zishuan gave a slight salute. The middle-aged man nodded and looked at Jian Wushuang with his big eyes that resembled two brass bells. You are swordsman? He asked. Yes, Jian Wushuang answered calmly. Then he looked Jian Wushuang up and down before saying, Someone wants to see you, come with me. Jian Wushuang, though puzzled, followed the middle-aged man inside the military camp, while Yang Zishuan stayed where he was and waited for him. Not long after, they entered a huge tent in the center of the military camp, where there was a person waiting for them. It's you who wanted to see me? Jian Wushuang looked at the green-dressed girl and frowned. He knew the girl. In the blood battle arena, his first opponent was this girl. He had taken it easy on her, so he had not hurt her. Afterwards, the girl took the initiative to come to meet him, but he had ignored her. Jian Wushuang remembered that her name was Lin Wan. Chapter 814, Lin Wan's Request. Chapter 814, Lin Wan's Request. Miss Wanner, I've brought swordsmen here as you requested, said the governor of the Cercis army with respect. Okay, thank you. Off you go, Lin Wan said. The middle-aged man turned and left at once, leaving Lin Wan and Jian Wushuang in the tent. Swordsman, do you remember me? Lin Wan asked, smiling at Jian Wushuang. Yes, Jian Wushuang slightly nodded. When they were in the blood battle arena, Jian Wushuang thought Lin Wan was just another ordinary warrior like him. As things stood, he was wrong. The governor of the Cercis army was an honored position on Cercis Island. No one could command him like this except for Dao masters. But Lin Wan had done just that. Good. I heard that you fought with Lei Xian of Heavenly Cloud Pavilion a few days ago. I also heard that the fight lasted for a long time and that you were not defeated. Is that true? Lin Wan demanded. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded again. A few days ago, the fight that had taken place between Jian Wushuang and Lei Xian on Cercis Island had caused a great stir and attracted many people's attention. Even though he had killed Lei Xian last night, the area they fought in was not on the island, so few people knew about it. And Lin Wan was clearly not among those who knew about it. Lei Xian is an expert at the peak of Step 5 of the Eternal Realm, but you were actually able to compete with him. Although you were at a complete disadvantage, you still showed that you are quite formidable, Lin Wan praised. If you have something to say, then say it. Jian Wushuang didn't want to talk nonsense with Lin Wan. Okay, I won't keep you in suspense. I called you here because I want to ask you a favor. Lin Wan said, then took a deep breath and put on a grave look before she continued. Did you see the people that the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master personally met on your way here? Yes, I saw them. They are the people of the Xia Clan, led by their second master, Xia Yan. Jian Wushuang replied. Yes, it's about Xia Yan. Lin Wan's voice suddenly turned frosty. I have a personal, deep hatred of Xia Yan. I want you to help me beat him once. That's it. Jian Wushuang cast Lin Wan a glance. Yes, Lin Wan solemnly nodded. Of course, you won't do it for nothing. How about I pay you 100 million divine gems? 100 million divine gems. Jian Wushuang said as his eyes narrowed. 100 million divine gems was not a small sum. Even a Dao master might be tempted by it. But Lin Wan casually put forward such a condition, and if the fact that she had commanded the governor of the Cercis army at will was included, Jian Wushuang had a rough guess at her true identity. Lin Wan looked at him expectantly. 100 million divine gems was enough to make most eternal realm experts act crazy or desperate. She was sure that Jian Wushuang would be tempted by so many divine gems, too. However, sorry, I can't help you, Jian Wushuang answered in a cold and resolute tone. He refused her offer without even considering it. What? Confidence vanished from Lin Wan's face. Evidently, Jian Wushuang's reply startled her. Why? Is 100 million divine gems not enough? I can add more, Lin Wan hurriedly said. Miss Warner, Jian Wushuang indifferently said, we met only once before this meeting. Strictly speaking, we are practically strangers, and Xia Yan has no quarrel with me. Why should I provoke him? Then he continued, most importantly, he is the second master of the Xia Clan. I'm not foolish enough to make such a great enemy for nothing. If there is nothing else, I'll take my leave, Miss Warner. He immediately turned and began to walk out of the tent without looking back. Swordsman, Lin Wan called him from behind. If you think the pay is too low, just tell me you want. Whatever it is, I will satisfy you. There was a palpable anxiety in her voice. How about 200 million divine gems, or 300 million divine gems? If you want some treasures, just say it. What do you think of the Cercis army? If you want, I can make you a commander, even a governor of them, as long as you promise to help me. She kept increasing the pay. Swordsman? Now, her voice was full of entreaty. But no matter how her attitude changed, Jian Wushuang showed no sign of stopping, still heading towards the outside of the tent. He could see that there was definitely a deep hatred between Lin Wan and Xia Yan. Otherwise, with her identity, she would not stoop to ask him for help. But it had nothing to do with him. As he had said, he and Lin Wan were almost strangers, and he had no quarrel with Xia Yan. He would be a fool to offend Xia Yan and the mighty Xia Clan just to gain a large sum of divine gems or some other benefits. Lin Wan clenched her hands hard and stared at Jian Wushuang. When he was about to step out of the tent, she could not help speaking again. This time she tried to goad him instead. Swordsman, you turned out to be a coward. You really let me down. I thought you were more powerful than Xia Yan and more suited to the title of the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world. Unexpectedly, you won't even dare to have a fight with him. You said you don't want to make such a great enemy for nothing, but I think it's just your excuse for being afraid of him and not being able to beat him. You are not only afraid of him, but also afraid of the Xia Clan and his exceptionally talented elder brother. Well, it's reasonable. After all, you are just a divine realm expert, without any backing, while he is the second master of the Xia Clan, which is the most powerful overlord clan in the Tang of the East. His elder brother is even more remarkable and is recognized as the greatest genius in the eternal world, the youngest eternal realm expert in history, and may even become the youngest Dao master in the eternal world. And his elder brother is the husband of the princess from the Tang of the East. Such a big shot. Lin Wan went on talking, but Jian Wushuang, who had just stepped out of the tent, stopped abruptly. No matter what bait Lin Wan had tossed out, like the divine gems and the position of commander or governor in the Cercis army, or how she tried to goad him, Jian Wushuang remained indifferent. Even when Lin Wan said that Xia Yan's elder brother was recognized as the greatest genius in the eternal world, the youngest expert in the history of the Eternal Realm, and that he may even become the youngest Tao master of the Eternal World. There was no pause in his steps. But when he heard Lin Wan say, his elder brother is also the husband of the princess from the Tang of the East, he instantly stopped. What did you say? Chapter 8:15. The husband of the princess from the Tang of the East? Chapter 8:15. The husband of the princess from the Tang of the East. What did you say? Jian Wushuang asked coldly. At that moment, he turned around and gave Lin Wan an icy look. When Lin Wan saw Jian Wushuang turn around, a feeling of hope returned to her. I said you are afraid of Xia Yan and his elder brother. What about it? She asked. No, not that, Jian Wushuang said, still staring at Lin Wan. You said Xia Yan's elder brother is the princess's husband? There is only one princess in the Tang of the East, isn't there? Yes, Lin Wan answered and nodded. The princess is Wushuang, the most beautiful girl in the Eternal World. As for her husband, Lin Wan continued after a pause. Although Sister Shuang is not married yet, the current ruler of the Tang of the East, Empress Lung, has long agreed with the Xia Clan that Xia Yan's elder brother will be her husband. So it's a done deal. Oh, Jian Wushuang oozed a freezing aura. Wushuang. He murmured the name in his heart. From the time he began to cultivate until now, he had met all kinds of women and had come into contact with many that were beautiful or graceful. But Wushuang was the only one who gave him a special feeling. He had only seen her a few times, but he knew exactly how he felt about her. When Lin Wan said that Xia Yan's elder brother was the husband of the princess, a fit of petulant sulkiness rose in his heart. You called Wushuang Sister Shuang. You seem to know her and have a good relationship with her, right? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes, of course I know her. Her parents, Emperor Shao and Empress Lung, are good friends with my father. He used to visit them, and my father took me with him when he went to the Tang of the East, so I've met Sister Shuang many times. Because of that, we are close to each other. Lin Wan told him. Sister Shuang is an indifferent but good person. In the Tang of the East, and even in the whole Eternal World, she has very few friends, but I should be considered one of her few friends. I see. Jian Wushuang raised his brows and looked at Lin Wan again. Then he said, Okay, I'll help you. You're reading on Novelful, thanks. Really? Lin Wan became jubilant. What else do you want? Just say it. She hurriedly added, The 100 million divine gems you promised is enough, Jian Wushuang replied. No problem. I'll give you the divine gems now. With that, she took out an interspatial ring and gave it to Jian Wushuang. There are 100 million divine gems in it. Please check it. If it's okay, you can go to the blood battle arena now. I'll bring Xia Yan there before long. Be careful when you fight against Xia Yan. You just have to do your best. I won't blame you if you lose. Jian Wushuang took the interspatial ring and searched it with his consciousness before looking up and saying, I won't lose. Then he turned and left directly, leaving Lin Wan alone in the tent. Counting swordsmen, I have found 3 powerful divine realm experts. Leaving aside the first 2, swordsman was able to stand up to lay Xian in a head-on battle. Maybe he can beat Xia Yan. Lin Wan murmured with delight. Once he came outside of the tent, Jian Wushuang quickly found Yang Zaishuan. Third brother, who was looking for you, and why? Yang Zaishuan asked urgently. It's not a big deal. Jian Wushuang smiled and said, Come on, let's both head to the blood battle arena. You're going to the blood battle arena? What are you going to do there? Yang Zaishuan asked, puzzled. What am I going to do? Jian Wushuang squinted, but the corners of his mouth turned up and formed a sneer. I'm going to grab the title of the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world. Huh. Yang Zishuan looked at Jian Wushuang in surprise, and then a meaningful smile spread across his face. Without asking any more questions, he followed Jian Wushuang toward the blood battle arena. The blood battle arena was still as crazy and lively as it had been before. The arena was large enough to allow 2 powerful experts in the eternal realm to fight using their full power without affecting the countless people in the audience. When Jian Wushuang and Yang Zishuan arrived at the blood battle arena, 2 superior divine realm experts were having a fierce fight inside the arena. However, they had no interest in watching duels between superior divine realm experts, so they sat quietly in a corner and waited for Xia Yan. About half a day later, along with a buzzing sound, a lot of powerful people suddenly emerged. As soon as these people arrived, a terrifying aura spread out over the blood battle arena, and for a moment, the entire blood battle arena grew completely silent. Countless people in the audience stared with wide eyes at these people. Those people were horrifying, especially the first few who oozed a unique and profound aura, which was more than enough to represent their identity. They are Dao Masters. Why has more than one Dao Master come to the blood battle arena in person? What's going on? Everyone in the audience was in a state of shock and dullness. The 2 superior divine realm experts who were fighting on the arena instantly stopped and ran off the arena. In the silence, Lin Wan, who was standing among the people on the edge of the arena, pointed to the graceful young man, Xia Yan, and shouted, "Xia Yan, you are called the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world, but I do not believe that there is no one stronger than you among the innumerable divine realm experts in this vast eternal world." After pausing for a fraction of a second, she went on, "Today, I've brought in 3 divine realm experts to fight you one-on-one. If you defeat them, I will recognize your strength and accept your proposal. But if you are defeated by any of them, forget about the proposal." The second these words came out of her mouth, the audience roared. Beside Lin Wan stood a skinny hunchbacked elder with silver hair. At her words, he forced a smile and said, "Master Xia Yan, she is spoiled by me and is always fooling around. Please don't mind her. Please don't stand on ceremony. Lord, Miss Wanner is too noble and can't be compared with ordinary people." Xia Yan replied with a modest smile. Then he turned his eyes towards Lin Wan and said, "Miss Wanner, the so-called title of the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world, is just an empty honor, so it's not worth mentioning. But since you want to test me, I'll fight with all my strength." "Which 3 divine realm experts did you bring? You can ask all 3 of them to come up and fight against me together. If I fail to defeat them within 15 minutes, it will be considered my loss." He added, Chapter 8:16, the #1 divine realm expert, Xia Yan. Chapter 8:16, the #1 divine realm expert, Xia Yan. Xia Yan's words carried an absolute confidence and impressed many warriors in the blood battle arena. He planned to fight with 3 experts at once and claimed to be able to defeat them within 15 minutes. Humph, he's really arrogant. I said you would be fighting one-on-one, so you will fight one-on-one. Zhong Yuan, Lin Wan replied in a deep voice while looking at Xia Yan. Swoosh! A stalwart figure immediately came flying out of the audience and appeared on the arena. The man was more than 2 meters tall, and his huge body gave off a terrifying aura, which made him seem like a wild beast. "He's your first opponent," Lin Wan said to Xia Yan. Everyone in the blood battle arena looked at the beast-like man and quickly recognized him. "I know him. He's Zhong Yuan. He has won 100 successive fights against divine realm experts in the blood battle arena. He's a peak expert." "He is indeed a divine realm expert, but it is said that his battle strength is more terrifying than an expert at Step 3 of the Eternal Realm. The auditorium was abuzz with discussion. Xia Yan also took a glance at Zhong Yuan, and a cool smile played across his mouth. Then he moved and appeared on the arena. The whole blood battle arena quieted down once again. "Master Xia Yan, please," Zhong Yuan said flatly. "Just go," Xia Yan replied, still looking graceful, indifferent, and proud. "Humph. You're reading on novel full thanks." Zhong Yuan said nothing more. After a cold snort, he ran straight towards Xia Yan like a big demonic ape. There was a giant hammer in his hand, which seemed to weigh as much as a mountain. When he reached Xia Yan, invisible ripples immediately began to spread from the giant hammer. Then he swung the hammer at Xia Yan hard. Instantly, there was a violent sonic boom from inside the arena. His power is truly impressive. The audience was shocked. Obviously, Zhong Yuan's offensive power had surpassed the ability of a divine realm expert, and was even superior to that of a Step 1 or even Step 2 Eternal Realm expert. However, in the face of such an overwhelming attack, Xia Yan was still standing there in a relaxed manner. Only when the giant hammer was less than a meter from him and about to hit him did he reach out slowly. In the instant that he reached out, a dark blade light swept straight out. The blade light, which was as dark as ink, shot towards Zhong Yuan soundlessly, and it moved too fast to allow Zhong Yuan to react. Zhong Yuan was the first to swing his hammer, but before his hammer could land on Xia Yan, Xia Yan's dark saber had already cut into his body. Swish! He watched in disbelief as the blade light passed. The next moment, he fell straight down with the power of his hammer already dissipated. Within seconds of making his move, Zhong Yuan had died. In the blood battle arena, everyone's eyes widened in disbelief. He's too powerful. This is the strength of the number 1 divine realm expert in the eternal world. Zhong Yuan could rival an expert at the peak of Step 3 of the Eternal Realm, but he was killed in a single move. Is Xia Yan really a divine realm expert? All the people present were secretly amazed. Although they had heard about Master Xia Yan's battle results, they initially doubted its truth since they had not seen him fight before. But now, the fearsome battle strength Xia Yan had just displayed completely dispelled their suspicions. Not only that, they even suspected that he may be stronger than the rumors said. Standing in the audience, Lin Wan paled and clenched her teeth when she saw that Zhong Yuan was actually killed by Xia Yan with a blow. Then she called out another name, Mo Ling. Whoosh! A demonic man appeared on the arena. He was the second divine realm expert Lin Wan had sent. He was slightly better than the first divine realm expert, Zhong Yuan. He was skilled in speed, and he moved mysteriously, so he should be very difficult to deal with. But when he fought against him, Xia Yan moved even faster than him. In the end, Mo Ling was also killed by Xia Yan with one blow. Now Xia Yan had successively killed 2 powerful divine realm experts, each with one blow. The eyes that were looking at him were full of shock and admiration. No wonder he was called the number 1 divine realm expert in the eternal world. Xia Yan is worthy of being an expert that the Xia Clan cultivated meticulously. Like his elder brother, he is truly an exceptional genius, the Lord of Cercis Island said with a smile, and then he turned to Lin Wan. "Wan, it's time to stop. I still have one more expert to fight with him, so there's no rush to stop," Lin Wan said in a low voice. The Lord of Cercis Island and the glum elder of the Xia Clan both smiled casually at her response. In their eyes, what Lin Wan did was just a girl's mischief, so they did not care. "The last one, swordsman," Lin Wan called out again. In a corner of the auditorium, Jian Wushuang, who was sitting side by side with Yang Zixuan, stood up slowly. Xia, Yin really is powerful. Be careful you don't mess up, Yang Zixuan told him in a casual manner. I know, Jian Wushuang nodded slightly. Then he flew into the arena and stood there for a second. Swordsman, I'm counting on you, Lin Wan said in her heart, clenching her hands and fixing her eyes on Jian Wushuang. Countless members of the audience, including the Lord of Cercis Island, that glum elder of the Xia Clan, and other Dao masters, all cast a glance towards Jian Wushuang as well. It's him. The Lord of Cercis Island and the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master had seen him before and knew his strength, so when they saw him appear on the arena, they exchanged a glance with each other and their expressions changed. Unexpectedly, Warner asked him for help. The Lord of Cercis Island thought, stroking his beard while gazing at Jian Wushuang. This is going to be interesting, the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master secretly said as his brows lifted. He knew that Xia Yan, as the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world, really was formidable. His strength had been proven when he killed Zhong Yuan and Mo Ling in succession, but Jian Wushuang, he had killed Lei Xian head-on. The Lord of Cercis Island and the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master had both watched Jian Wushuang fight against Lei Xian, so they knew Jian Wushuang was not weaker than Xia Yan. But the others in the blood battle arena didn't know it. Tut, tut, one more person has doomed himself. Is he a fool? Didn't he watch Xia Yan kill the 2 powerful divine realm experts in a row, each with only 1 blow? Yet he still dared to come up? Perhaps the miss has offered him something irresistible. He knows he is going to die, but he still wants to try. It's a pity that he has overestimated himself. Chapter 8:17, Jian Wushuang takes action. Chapter 8:17, Jian Wushuang takes action. Everyone in the audience looked at Jian Wushuang with pity. In their opinion, if Jian Wushuang fought with Xia Yan, there was no doubt that he would die. Come on. Release all your strength or you'll have no chance. Xia Yan looked at Jian Wushuang nonchalantly, as if he was looking at an ant. Of course, if that's what you want, Jian Wushuang replied casually. Then, the Emperor's sword instantly appeared in his hand, and he swung it at Xia Yan from a distance. Immediately, a huge sword shadow rushed forward to strike Xia Yan. However, they were too far apart, and the blow was so slow that any of these powerful divine realm experts could avoid it. As for Xia Yan, it was a piece of cake. What is he doing? Did he realize that he will be killed in an instant, so he gave up and has decided to put on a show? Something isn't right. Even I could avoid that blow. Many warriors in the audience were talking, and, as they expected, when the sword shadow reached Xia Yan, he easily avoided it with a slight move. You really are just an ant. Xia Yan smiled contemptuously and moved near Jian Wushuang in an instant. Then, a dark blade light swept out. The blade light moved surprisingly fast. Both Zhong Yuan and Mo Ling had been killed by this same blade light. At such a sight, many people in the audience secretly sighed. But just as the blade light was about to strike Jian Wushuang, clang! A mysterious sword shadow silently appeared and blocked the incoming saber just in time. What? Xia Yan looked up in wonder. What? He fended off Xia Yan's attack. It caused profound astonishment among the audience. They saw Jian Wushuang swing his sword and block Xia Yan's saber. That's interesting. Xia Yan's mouth curved into a thin smile, but his eyes were exceptionally cold. His wrist moved, and he continued attacking Jian Wushuang with his dark, chilly saber. 3 saber shadows with icy lights shot at Jian Wushuang's throat, heart, and forehead. These 3 saber shadows were not very powerful, but they were remarkably fast. Clang, clang, clang. The three saber shadows were all blocked as well. How can he keep up with my speed? Xia Yan was baffled, but he sniffed in a dismissive way. Suddenly, he raised the dark, chilly saber, and an overwhelming power swiftly condensed in it. Whoosh! The blade light shot out in a twinkling. Xia Yan's previous attacks were fast, but the power they carried was very ordinary. However, this blow contained a vast power. Jian Wushuang also raised his sword to block that blow immediately. Bang! He blocked it. But the terrifying power behind that blow landed on Jian Wushuang like a great mountain. It instantly knocked him down, causing him to fall down and strike the arena. A huge pit appeared on the arena, and the smoke billowed. Looking towards Jian Wushuang, who was still inside the huge pit, Xia Yan sniffed disdainfully and said, "This divine realm expert is not bad, but he still lost in the end." Then he turned to leave. Everyone in the audience watched Xia Yan in awe. Xia Yan really is exceptionally formidable. In all three fights, his opponents were all some of the strongest divine realm experts, but in the end, he won easily. No wonder he dared to say he would fight against all three opponents at once. Now, it seems that even if the three divine realm experts joined forces, they would not be able to compete with him for 15 minutes. Sentences of praise for Xia Yan came from all directions. Xia Yan could actually hear the people talking about how amazing his strength was, but he still wore an indifferent, graceful look, pretending not to care. However, he was extremely happy on the inside. He enjoyed the feeling of being admired by so many people. It made him very delighted and pleased. In a jolly mood, Xia Yan walked to the edge of the arena. Then he looked at Lin Wan and said, "Miss Wan." However, he was suddenly interrupted by the sound of the ground breaking and a little stone that looked like a flowing light flying directly towards his head. Xia Yan's face darkened, and his aura rose, immediately smashing the little stone into powder. Then he turned to look back. He saw that Jian Wushuang had risen from the huge pit and was brushing the dust from his clothes in a cold manner. Xia Yan's face instantly became stiff. He didn't die, and he isn't even hurt much. Xia Yan was startled by what he saw. The blow that Jian Wushuang faced carried so much power that even an expert at Step 4 of the Eternal Realm would not be unscathed if the expert was hit head-on by it. How come he's not hurt? He is not hurt, and his aura did not even weaken a bit. Many warriors in the audience also turned their eyes towards Jian Wushuang. They were totally shocked. Only the Lord of Cercis Island, the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion Master, and Yang Zishuan looked the same as before. On the arena, Jian Wushuang gazed at Xia Yan with an expressionless face. "Xia Yan, I heard you are called the #1 divine realm expert of the eternal world. Aren't you?" he asked freezingly. "Yes, what about it?" Xia Yan said, and gazed back at Jian Wushuang with a look of disdain still on his face. The corners of Jian Wushuang's mouth lifted as he coldly said, "Nothing. I just want to tell you that if you only have this much strength, that title will be mine after today." Jian Wushuang said these words in a casual manner, but most of the warriors in the blood battle arena were startled and stared at him in wide-eyed shock. The title of the #1 divine realm expert will belong to him. What does that mean? They wondered. "Ha! Well, I'd like to see how you will take it away from me," Xia Yan replied. Then his face had become grave. Apparently, he was completely vexed by Jian Wushuang. "You'll see soon enough." With that, Jian Wushuang grasped the Emperor's sword even tighter and activated his bloodline power. His body began to bulge as it grew at an amazing rate. At the same time, his aura soared. Under the gaze of countless open-mouthed warriors, he became a 15-meter-tall, gold-armored ancient god in about a minute. Along with his body, his emperor's sword had also enlarged and turned into a sword that was 10 meters long. Chapter 818. Get Lost. Chapter 818. Get Lost. The gold-armored ancient god stood on the arena, oozing a terrifying aura that left the whole blood battle arena in an uproar. Jian Wushuang's battle strength reached its zenith at this moment. In the audience, countless eyes were looking with shock at the gold-armored ancient god that Jian Wushuang had become. What's that? What an overwhelming aura. Is he human? Can this man really challenge Xia Yan? With numerous horrified eyes upon him, Jian Wushuang took a step forward and pointed the emperor's sword at Xia Yan. Come on, release all your strength, or you'll have no chance. Jian Wushuang threw what Xia Yan had said back at him. Xia Yan's face clouded in an instant. You're just depending on cheap tricks. You'll still die today. Though he spoke haughtily, there was no longer any contempt for Jian Wushuang in his heart. He also felt Jian Wushuang's overwhelming aura at the moment, so he realized that he might be as powerful as he was. Then he flipped his hand over, storing the dark, chilly saber and replacing it with a purple saber. The purple saber was covered with mysterious and complicated lines, while the saber itself radiated a fierce aura. It's an emperor weapon. The eyes of those experts on the edge of the arena shrank sharply. There were some Dao masters amongst those experts, and it was easy for them to recognize that the purple saber was a genuine emperor weapon. An emperor weapon was superior to an eternal weapon. Generally speaking, only Dao masters could give display the full power of an emperor weapon. Of course, some exceptionally horrifying experts in the eternal realm could do it as well. Even Dao masters highly valued emperor weapons. In the eternal world, a very small number of the highest unparalleled experts in the eternal realm possessed emperor weapons. Xia Yan was just a divine realm expert, but he had terrifying battle strength and a high status in the Xia Clan, so it was only natural that he possessed an emperor weapon. The second master of the Xia Clan even took out his emperor weapon. He seems to have sensed the pressure from his opponent, the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion master said, smiling. Damn it, Xia Yan actually has an emperor weapon, Lin Wan muttered. She now wore an anxious look as she began to pray in her heart. On the arena, both Jian Wushuang and Xia Yan had released their auras now. When their violent auras reached their acme, they both began to move. Whoosh, whoosh. At that moment, Jian Wushuang took a step forward and crossed the distance between Xia Yan and him. Then, he lifted the emperor's sword high as the mighty power flowed through his arms. Xia Yan also moved forward and appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. He held his saber, and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. I'm acknowledged as the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world. I have the emperor weapon, and I have many incredible secret skills that have been given to me by my clan. I don't believe a nobody can be my match. Xia Yan roared in his mind. In the next moment, he slashed out with his purple saber. Secret skill, heavenly saber. Bang! A huge saber shadow appeared in the upper void, and then pressed forward. As it passed, the air was pushed aside, and the whole area seemed to be split in two. Xia Yan now had an awful look on his face. He had done his best, and the secret skill he performed was the strongest one he had mastered. Also, because of the emperor weapon, the power of that secret skill had greatly increased. He was confident that this horrifying blow could stand up against an expert at Step 5 of the Eternal Realm. He used the same move to win his most glorious fight. In front of countless people, he, a divine realm expert, defeated an expert at the peak of Step 4 of the Eternal Realm, making a name for himself in the Eternal World. As Xia Yan slashed out with his saber, the Emperor's sword, which had been raised high and was ready to strike, had reached the peak of its power. Jian Wushuang threw Xia Yan a cold glance while a mocking smile dwelled on his mouth. Then he chopped down with his Emperor's sword. The first move of the Boundless Heaven sword art, Annihilation sword move. Instead of the second move or the third move, which was more powerful, he performed the first move of the Boundless Heaven sword art. But he still pushed his power to its limits. The power of his level 3 sword heart, level 12 Star River secret skill, and the overwhelming power of the gold-armored ancient god were fully manifested in this strike. Rumble! The overwhelming strike immediately landed on the huge saber shadow that Xia Yan had displayed. With this, 2 waves of terrifying power exploded at the same time. It was like 2 stars colliding head-on. With a loud bang, the sword shadow and blade light crisscrossed fiercely. The huge arena that was under their feet suddenly sank, causing countless pieces of rubble to fly up and shoot out in all directions. A single attack had wiped out the large arena within a radius of a few miles. In the audience, countless people were shocked at what they were watching. They had also seen the 2 figures fighting in the middle and the collision of their power in the center of the battlefield. It was a collision of pure force. However, the gap in their strength was obvious. How could this be? Xia Yan's eyes widened. He looked at his numb right hand in disbelief. He was barely able to hold onto the purple saber, and a terrifying force was striking along his arm. Puff! He spat out a mouthful of blood. In the eyes of the audience, he spouted blood after the first collision. Then he saw Jian Wushuang swing his sword again, and another overwhelming blow rushed towards him. He quickly raised his saber to resist. Clang! It was another collision, but this time Xia Yan's right hand could no longer hold his emperor weapon, so it flew out. At the same time, that strike had forced him to stagger backwards for quite a distance. Then Jian Wushuang flashed to his side and glanced coldly at him. Get lost! A frigid roar filled the blood battle arena. As the roar reverberated throughout the area, Jian Wushuang struck out with his sword again. The sword landed on Xia Yan and caused him to shoot out like a cannonball and violent crash into the ground. Chapter 819. The number 1 divine realm expert isn't that formidable. Chapter 819. The number 1 divine realm expert isn't that formidable. Bang! There was a sound of a heavy impact as he hit the ground, which caused the blood battle arena to shake violently. Seconds later, everything subsided. Only silence followed. A deathly silence hung over the whole blood battle arena. The entire audience, including the ordinary warriors, the subordinates of the Lord of Cercis Island, and the experts from the Xia Clan, watched the scene in disbelief. He lost. Someone finally broke the silence, and then the whole blood battle arena burst into shouting and heated discussions. He lost. The number 1 divine realm expert in the eternal world has been defeated. And it was a miserable defeat. Within 3 strikes, many warriors muttered in horror. The fight took place under their very eyes, so they saw everything clearly. It was the truth. Xia Yan was miserably defeated within only 3 strikes. With only 3 strikes. The first strike made Xia Yan spit blood and seriously injured him. The second strike knocked the saber out of his hand. The third strike hit Xia Yan hard and knocked him into the ground. It was a quick attack, and if Jian Wushuang had not shown mercy, Xia Yan would have died. All in all, Xia Yan was completely overpowered by Jian Wushuang. There was no room for Xia Yan to fight back. The gap between their strength was enormous. Before their fight, Xia was known as the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world, while Jian Wushuang was just an ordinary divine realm expert. While the audience still remained in shock, Jian Wushuang walked off the arena to the ground below. Xia was pale and covered in blood. He struggled to get up but failed. At this moment, 2 experts of the Xia Clan hurriedly came to him and helped him up. After getting up, Xia had barely managed to look up when he saw Jian Wushuang coming slowly toward him with an emotionless expression on his face. The #1 divine realm expert isn't that formidable, Jian Wushuang said nonchalantly. The #1 divine realm expert isn't that formidable. Everyone in the surrounding area repeated those words in their mind. It frightened them. However, they secretly admired Jian Wushuang and approved of his words. Although Xia was known as the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world, he was much weaker than Jian Wushuang. So to speak, when compared with Jian Wushuang, he really was not that formidable. But those words shattered Xia source of pride. His face twisted, and the eyes he used to look at Jian Wushuang were full of the greatest venom. Swordsman, Xia growled while clenching his hands, with a hint of madness in his voice. Is there anything wrong with what I said? Jian Wushuang asked indifferently. If you can be called the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world, there will be too many #1 divine realm experts of the eternal world. He added in a flat voice, Oh, I heard that your elder brother is recognized as the #1 eternal realm expert of the eternal world and the youngest expert in the eternal realm in history. Is that right? The #1 eternal realm expert in the eternal world. I had been looking forward to meeting him before, but after meeting you, Humph, his title is probably an empty reputation as well. You bastard. Xia was so angry that he couldn't help spitting out a mouthful of blood again. At this moment, Humph! A cold snort suddenly sounded at the edge of the arena. The glum elder of the Xia Clan looked up at Jian Wushuang and said, Junior, are you trying to provoke our Xia Clan? Provoke you? Jian Wushuang shook his head calmly and said, No, how would I dare to provoke the most powerful overlord clan in the Tang of the East? I'm just stating the truth. Humph, you are just stating the truth, the glum elder shot back. His eyes had become freezing cold and even flashed with a slight killing intent. Ha, Mr. He, it's just a fight between the younger generation. Don't take it too seriously. The Lord of Cercis Island mediated. The second master is powerful, and we have already seen it with our own eyes. But the eternal world is vast. As the saying goes, there is always a higher mountain. It's normal that there are 1 or 2 divine realm experts stronger than him. The glum elder squinted, but since the Lord of Cercis Island intervened, he could say no more. All right, what has happened today is nothing more than my daughter's nonsense. Please don't take it too seriously. Everybody, let's go back to the feast, the Lord of Cercis Island said as he led the experts away. Although the people of the Xia Clan were unwilling to leave like this, they would not offend the Lord of Cercis Island while they were on Cercis Island. So they also left. Xia left with the help of 2 experts from the Xia Clan. However, before he left, he continuously glared at Jian Wushuang with obvious resentment. On the contrary, Lin Wan was smiling. She took a glance at Jian Wushuang and thanked him in a low voice as she left. Many experts had left, so Jian Wushuang had no intention of remaining. Under the countless gazes filled with awe, he walked out of the blood battle arena along with Yang Zishuan. As soon as they were out of the blood battle arena, Yang Zishuan said, Well done, third brother. You defeated Xia in only 3 strikes. It will not be long before the experts from all the powers in the eternal world start calling you the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world. It's just an empty honor. It is of no use, and will even cause a lot of trouble instead. Jian Wushuang shook his head with a wry smile. He didn't care about the title at all. By the way, why did you help Miss Warner deal with Xia Yan? That's not your usual style. Do you have something against Xia Yan? Why did you humiliate him after you beat him? Yang Zishuan inquired. He could see that Jian Wushuang had humiliated Xia Yan deliberately. I humiliated him? Jian Wushuang sniffed. I was just testing him, but I didn't expect him to be so bitter, and it was all written on his face. He can't even control his emotions. He's obviously an idiot. I don't think Xia Yan will let this matter rest. Since Xia Yan is an idiot, I wonder what his elder brother will be like, Jian Wushuang said. There was a strange flash of emotions in his eyes. What he cared about was not Xia Yan, but his elder brother and the Xia Clan. What he had just done in the blood battle arena was, in fact, only a preliminary test. Before he promised to help Lin Wan, he knew that helping her would definitely offend Xia Yan and the Xia Clan, so he was already prepared for the consequences. Besides, he would definitely prevent Long Wushuang from marrying into the Xia Clan. Anyway, he would become an enemy of the Xia Clan sooner or later. Setting things in motion now just meant that he was a little ahead of schedule, so it didn't matter to him. Chapter 8:20 Hatred. Chapter 8:20 Hatred. Since a large number of experts had witnessed the fight between Jian Wushuang and Xia Yan in the blood battle arena, it was impossible to hide the results. The news spread like wildfire. In less than a day, the result of their fight had spread throughout Cercis Island and become the favorite topic of countless warriors on Cercis Island. No one had expected the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world, Xia Yan, to be miserably defeated by an expert in the same realm. Jian Wushuang even defeated him with only 3 strikes. He was seriously injured by the first strike, had his weapon knocked out of his hand by the second strike, and would have been killed by the third strike if Jian Wushuang had not held back. After that battle, everyone knew that the title of the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world had changed hands. At the same time, Swordsman, a name seldom heard before, suddenly became well known to the public. As the news that Swordsman beat Xia Yan spread, some of his battle results on Cercis Island had been dug up. Like how, during the fights between divine realm experts in the blood battle arena, he won 10 times in a row and each of his opponents were defeated with a single blow. And when he fought with Xian of the Heavenly Cloud Pavilion head-on on Cercis Island, he was only at a disadvantage. When those battle results became known, people accepted the fact that Swordsman had defeated Xia Yan. After all, Xian was an expert at the peak of Step 5 of the Eternal Realm. If Swordsman could compete with him, it was normal for Swordsman to defeat Xia Yan. But Xia Yan, who had been easily defeated by Jian Wushuang, was furious. Kill him, I'll kill him. In a grand palace, Xia Yan, who still looked pale, was roaring wildly, shattering the tables, chairs, and even some of the decorations. At this moment, his ferocious face was full of venom, which made him look like a hungry beast. I want to kill him. I want to kill both of them, Swordsman, and that bitch, Lin Wan. I want them dead. His roar could almost shake the house. Fortunately, he had placed a restriction around the palace to prevent the sound from spreading, or else his roar would surely have attracted attention from plenty of experts. Second Master, calm down. The glum elder frowned at Xia Yan. Calm down? I'm the second master of the Xia Clan, the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world, but I was defeated by an unknown divine realm expert with 3 strikes, and he even publicly mocked and humiliated me. How could I calm down when I feel so humiliated?" Xia Yan shouted while glaring at Elder. Elder, he gave a slight sigh after listening to his words. The Xia Clan was a big clan who possessed a profound history and great power within the eternal world. Therefore, most forces would not dare to offend them, but it also led to some core disciples of the Xia Clan not being able to receive the proper training. Their second master, Xia Yan, was one of them. He had been arrogant since he was a child. Since the Xia Clan and his elder brother had been protecting him and clearing all the obstacles in his path, everything had always gone the way he wanted, so he grew more and more arrogant. And this arrogance would always burst out when he was faced with a real setback. If he were not so arrogant, then he would have at least been able to remain rational and calm on the surface. He would not have lost his cool when he was defeated by Jian Wushuang with 3 strikes. Elder, I've said that I want them dead. Xia Yan said gloomily. Elder, he squinted at him, and then shook his head. Lin Wan is the daughter of the Lord of Cercis Island, and he is not a common expert. He governs such a vast island near the Tang of the East. Apart from other things, in terms of personal strength alone, the only person in our clan besides the ancestor who could compete with him is probably the master. Plus, he has various friends. Of the 4 great rulers in the Tang of the East, 3 of them are good friends of his, with the exception of Empress Qing. If it's not necessary, our Xia Clan will never make enemies with such a man. This time, we came here in hopes that you could marry Lin Wan and bring the Lord of Cercis Island over to our camp. But no one expected this result. Elder, do you mean that I can't deal with that bitch, Lin Wan? Xia Yan asked with a somber look on his face. Yes, Elder, he nodded seriously. You must never hurt Lin Wan. As for Swordsman, the man who defeated you, he's not a common expert either. He's not a common expert. He was a nobody. What's so special about him? Xia Yan hastened to ask. Humph, you're a divine realm expert, but so is he. You're a genius that I spent countless resources to cultivate, but he defeated you with 3 strikes. You still think he's a common expert? Elder, he cast a brief glance at Xia Yan and added, I'm sure his background must be unusual. He's also not common. Does that mean I have to suffer this disgrace without doing anything? Xia Yan yelled in a low voice. To suffer this disgrace without doing anything? No, Elder, he denied. You're the second master of our Xia Clan, and he humiliated you in front of so many people. If we have no action at all, our Xia Clan will lose face. We will definitely deal with him, but we have to be careful about how we do it. Then he added, hold it in for a few days. I'll have someone keep an eye on him and investigate his background immediately. If he has no backer or his background is not powerful, we will just kill him. However, if he has an unusual background, we'll have to find a way to kill him that can't be traced back to us. The Xia Clan is currently in their most critical period. All the years of planning that our clan and the ancestor have made is finally coming to fruition. During this period, we need to try not to provoke others. After this period, our clan will reach a whole new level. By then, no matter what background a person like Swordsman has, the person would be directly crushed to death by the mountain that is our Xia Clan. Once Xia Yan heard these words, his anger temporarily subsided. I get it. Then let him live a few days longer. Xia Yan's eyes were full of poison as he said, as for that bitch Lin Wan, you'll see. Wait until the Xia Clan finishes passing through this critical period and reaches a new level. At that point, I'll make you regret what you've done to me. If their plan comes true, Our clan won't care about the Lord of Cercis Island. At that time, you'll be able to do whatever you want. Elder, he sneered. For the next few days, Xia Yan really did stay in his mansion, not even leaving it once. In the meantime, Elder he had sent someone to investigate Jian Wushuang's background. Along with their profound history, the Xia Clan also had a very good intelligence network. Within only a few days, they found out all about his background. Chapter 8:21. Leave the Cercis Island. Chapter 8:21. Leave the Cercis Island. Elder He and Xia Yan sat together in that old temple, and in front of them was the detailed information on Jian Wushuang. Hump. I believed Jian Wushuang must possess an extraordinary background. Now, he turns out to be a person of narrow view who left his sect for an adventure. Xia Yan snorted when reading Jian Wushuang's information. I've never heard of the ancient sect he's from. This sect is indeed a strong force in his territory, but compared to the sects in the eternal world, it's of a low tier. Elder, he commented. I misunderstood him just as you. I contributed his strong power to his background. But since it's not true, the only excuse must be that he is highly talented. I agree. He is a real genius, and in terms of talent, he may be even more outstanding than your big brother. Are you serious? He is no match for my brother, said Xia Yan scornfully. All right, since he has no lavish, astonishing background, you can kill him with nothing to fear. But for your fame, you'd better kill him somewhere out of Cercis Island and not expose yourself, said Elder He. I see. Xia Yan nodded, and a cold light flashed in his eyes. Seeing this, Elder, he forced a smile before continuing reading Jian Wushuang's information. Well, this boy's master seems to be an unusual man. As an Eternal Realm expert, he teaches 3 Dao Master students, and one of them entered Void Temple. Yeah, there is something interesting about this man, but his 3 Dao Master students you mentioned are quite common, and the one who entered Void Temple is unknown there. Elder, he shook his head and paid no attention to this matter. In fact, the person who entered Void Temple they talked about was Tian, and he commanded respect. He was one of the 18 masters of the Void Temple, the famous Master Bloodsaber. He had been misunderstood because he trained in a low profile in the temple and seldom mentioned his master Xian Yi. Besides, the temple was a real overlord in the eternal world and was highly revered, so the information on it had always been a secret. As a result, during the last several days, the Xia Clan failed to learn Tian was the Master Bloodsaber. Jian Wushuang stayed on Cercis Island after he defeated Xia Yan for Lin Wan. It was hard for him to meet young Zixuan again, thus he spent a half-month together talking about their old days. Later, he decided to leave and say goodbye. His next destination was Tang of the East. Since his primary mission on Cercis Island, Kill Su Ming, was done, it was time to leave. Third brother, you go to Tang of the East first, and while later when I'm no longer busy, I'll go there and find you. By then, you, big brother Wang Yuan, and I can have some time together again, young Zixuan said to Jian Wushuang with a smile on the day the latter left. It's a deal, big brother, and I will wait there for you. Jian Wushuang smiled back at him. Swordsman. Lin Wan's soft voice echoed as she appeared in a green dress to say goodbye to Jian Wushuang. Thank you so much for helping me before. She added, please take care during your following journey because it seems Xia Yan will not drop the matter easily. Understood. Thank you. Jian Wushuang nodded at her. This is my message token. After you leave the island, send me a message whenever you run into trouble, and I'll send someone there to help you. While saying this, Lin Wan handed Jian Wushuang a message token. Thanks again. Jian Wushuang said, oh, by the way, I have another thing to tell you, Lin Wan continued. Last time when you asked me about Sister Shuang, I told you that she had been poisoned and that the doctors could do nothing to help her at that time. I heard her condition worsens as of late. She stays in her palace in the Tang of the East all the time. Years earlier, I still could meet her when I visited her palace with my father, but recently, I didn't see her even once there. On hearing those words, Jian Wushuang's expression suddenly changed. Poisoned by icy heart poison, Jian Wushuang clenched his hand when the idea caught him. It was not the first time that he knew Lung Wushuang was penetrated by the icy heart poison. In fact, when still in the ancient world, she had once asked him for help removing the poison out of her. However, at that time, he only managed to remove a very small amount of the poison, which helped her little. The poison must have gone much deeper into her body. I have to find her as sooner as possible. Some old memory rushed back to him. At that time, I was in a low realm and could not really help her. But now, I've reached the divine realm. I may not be able to cure her, but I can at least prevent it from growing worse. Second brother, Miss Warner, it's getting late, and I must take my leave. Jian Wushuang folded his hands and turned away. As soon as Jian Wushuang started off, the man who kept watch on him immediately sent a message back to Xia Yan about his leave. Ha! Jian Wushuang, at long last, you left the island. Having received the message, Xia Yan let out overjoyed laughter in his temple. For fear of provoking gossip, I did not kill you on the island. But as long as you're killed outside here, no one will suspect me of your death. Xia Yan clenched his fists, and a sharp glint crossed his eyes. You too, follow me. He ordered 2 guards in silver beside him. Those 2 men were in charge of protecting him, and they exchanged glances after hearing his words. One of them questioned gingerly, Master, should we inform Elder he of our plan before we exit? No, we needn't. Xia Yan shook his head. Chapter 8:22, The Retaliation. Chapter 8:22, The Retaliation. Xia Yan paused for a while before continuing in an undertone. Elder, he discussed some important issues with His Excellency for those days. We shouldn't bother him. Moreover, Jian Wushuang is in the divine realm. Thus, with you 2 helping me, his death is assured. The 2 guards nodded in approval. Obviously, they were confident in their power. After all, they were in the 6 steps of the eternal realm. In no time, Xia Yan departed with the 2 guards. They followed Jian Wushuang in secret. In the void tens of thousands of kilometers away from Cercis Island, the black-robed Jian Wushuang walked forward alone, long sword strapped across his back. After he crossed the vast land below him, he arrived in the Tang of the East. Right then, whoosh, 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 3 figures approached him from behind at an amazing speed. 2 of them moved especially fast that the next moment Jian Wushuang saw them. They stood in front of him. Finally, you've come. Jian Wushuang crossed his arms, not surprised at the sudden arrival of the 2 men one bit. Swordsman. An icy voice of malice echoed behind Jian Wushuang. The slower of the 3 figures arrived as well. Jian Wushuang turned back, only to see Xia Yan stand nearby with a grim smile on his face. Seeing him, Jian Wushuang smirked. He expected Xia Yan, who had always been a vengeful man, would not concede seeking revenge. He also knew that it was because he had been on Cercis Island during the last half a month that Xia Yan took no action. Now, since he left the island, Xia Yan no longer need wait. For what reason do you stand in my way, sir? Jian Wushuang asked while looking at Xia Yan with a twitching, faint smile. What do you think it might be? Xia Yan's voice chilled the air. Half a month ago, you humiliated me in front of so many people, And do you really believe I'll let you go after doing such a heinous act? Huh, who would have thought the second master of the Xia clan would be such a narrow-minded man? Jian Wushuang said, then continued smiling. He looked towards the two men in silver and asked, "Are these two gentlemen your guards?" "Exactly. My father has them follow me. And guess what? They are both in the 6 steps of the eternal realm." Xia Yan answered. He not only confirmed the two men's identities, but also revealed their power. The 6 steps of the eternal realm. Jian Wushuang eyes narrowed slightly. With each step in the eternal realm more powerful than the prior one, the 6 steps made a huge difference when compared to the 5 steps. Now, Jian Wushuang faced 2 experts at such an absurd level. Luckily, I've restrained my power when I fought Xia Yan on the blood battle arena, which made him think I was in the 5 steps. Otherwise, he would have brought more than 2 guards here to kill me. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang could not help but smile. Among all the experts in the Xia clan, he feared Elder He the most. If he were to battle this elder at that moment, he would definitely lose. Regarding Xia Yan not asking the elder, but instead the 2 guards for help, Jian Wushuang believed he could handle them on his own. Jian Wushuang did not inform them with his true intentions, but said, "Brought 2 experts in the 6 steps of the eternal realm here to kill me? Xia Yan, you really think too highly of me." Jian Wushuang sneered, and a glint of malice flashed in his eyes. "It seems as though I must die here today." "Of course," Xia Yan said in a deep voice. "Nowadays, everyone in the eternal world speaks of you as the #1 divine realm expert, but a dead man does not deserve that honor. I will claim this title after I kill you." Finally, I knew what means you kept your title as the #1 divine realm expert in the eternal world. Jian Wushuang sneered in disdain. Seeing that, Xia Yan echoed coldly, "What can you do even knowing this? Don't tell me you intend on surviving today." "Is that so?" Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows at those words. With no more talk exchanged, he pulled out the message token he received from Lin Wan. They were not far from Cercis Island, so if he relayed a message to Lin Wan asking for assistance, there would be someone on their way soon. However, when Jian Wushuang tried to do so, he found his message could not exit the void where it resided. "What goes on?" he asked in confusion. "Ha ha!" Seeing Jian Wushuang's reaction, Xia Yan bellowed, "Swordsman, you honestly believe I came here to kill you without added precautions? I knew that the bitch Lin Wan cared for you and gave you her message token before leaving. Therefore, just in case, I set up a restriction covering this area while I conversed with you. This restriction is a Tao master's work and severs the connections between its inside and outside. That's to say, at this moment in this void, your message token doesn't work. No one will come to save you." "Really?" Jian Wushuang furrowed his brow. He put the token back in his interspatial ring and smiled again and said, "Xia Yan, it seems I've underestimated you. You are more cunning than I've believed. Kill him." Xia Yan's frosty voice spurred his guards to arms. He ran out of patience and desired no more idle chat. Taking his order, the guards' eyes flickered as they charged Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang stood still, looking at the guards coldly. If what Xia Yan said is true, he can't send out a message either. In order to help Lin Wan, I stepped onto the blood battle arena to fight him, but I didn't mean to humiliate him at that time. I thought it a temptation to him and the Xia clan. But now, since he courts death, I'm not the one at fault. Jian Wushuang roared in an inaudible manner. An overwhelming killing intent lurched up high behind him like a tidal wave of hatred. At the same time, with a buzz of his bloodline power, his body grew at a tremendous speed, and the next second he transformed into a 15-meter gold-armored ancient god. In one of his hand, he gripped an extended red sword about 12 meters in length. The Blood Mountain Sword. Since he faced two experts in 6 steps of the Eternal Realm, he decided to go all out. Chapter 8:23. Fight with 6 steps of the Eternal Realm experts. Chapter 8:23. Fight with 6 steps of the Eternal Realm experts. The gold-armored ancient god Jian, Wushuang, transformed, held the Blood Mountain Sword, his overbearing aura making him look like the Lord of the world. The guards flinched in surprise by Jian Wushuang's aura, but continued rushing him. They never met any divine realm expert with an aura as domineering this one. However, as experts in 6 steps of the Eternal Realm, they were unaffected by it. Go to hell! Die! The guards yelled one after the other and attacked Jian Wushuang from the left and right simultaneously. One of them held a long gold spear, and as the spear shined like a dragon dashing out to sea, air-piercing, frightening sounds echoed. The other one brandished a long black whip, which looked more like a black snake. It lashed at Jian Wushuang's throat in a strange way as if it to garrote him. Neither guard restrained their power. Their moves fully demonstrated their strength. Seeing the moves, Jian Wushuang was not fearful, but excited. The next second, a red cloud floated out of his sword as he leaped. Bam! The void suffered a sudden shake. Jian Wushuang's sword stabbed straight to meet the spear and whip. How could a divine realm expert not retreat when facing the attacks of 2 6 steps of the Eternal Realm experts? You want to fight blow for blow. How dare you? You court death. Seeing Jian Wushuang's move, the guards strengthened their attacks. Clang! Thwack! 2 dull, crashing sounds vibrated and echoed through the air. Jian Wushuang stepped back and leaped forward again. His sword struck twice. 2 sword lights flashed away at once. The strikes appeared simple, but were subtly exquisite. So much so, the 2 guards could not help hiding the impressed wide eyes. This body blocked our attacks. Yeah, and more than that, he fought back so quickly. The 2 guards wore surprised looks on their faces while talking. They effortlessly warded off Jian Wushuang's exquisite blows. However, Jian Wushuang charged at them again. In a split second, they closed the distance and resumed fighting. Clang! 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 The continuous crashing sounds deafened everything throughout their death match and seemingly exchanged 100 blows. Yet no sign showed that Jian Wushuang was overpowered. How could it be possible? Xia thought, watching with an agape jaw. The 2 guards must have felt the same. He produced a close battle against us. Make no mistake, this boy is in the 6 steps as well. One of the guards shouted. He restrained his power on the blood battle arena last time. The other guard echoed with a grave expression. There is something wrong with my spear. The spear guard glanced down at his weapon in shock. There is a damage to my spear. His sword is peculiar. So is my whip. The 2 guards gazed at Jian Wushuang's Blood Mountain Sword. Seeing this, Jian Wushuang smiled coldly, yet confidently. The sword in his hand was crafted by his master, Xian Yi, and possessed incredible might. In terms of battle strength, Jian Wushuang was in the 5 steps. However, with the power of the Blood Mountain Sword, he exerted the power of a 6 steps expert. Apart from that, he was proficient at close combat and fighting out a besiege. Therefore, even under the 2 6 steps expert's fury, he stood his ground. Most of all, the Blood Mountain Sword's toughness and sharp edge broke off Lei Xion's magic weapon with 5 strikes. The 2 guards' weapons were at the same level as the magic weapon, and though Jian Wushuang was less powerful than the two guards, he had only managed to cause a slight crack on the guards' weapons after 100 blows. If the two guards were in 5 steps, he would have broken their weapons long ago. This boy is really unusual. Let's end this fight quickly, the spear guard said to his companion, icily. The next moment, his aura surged, and his body expanded in width, his muscles bulged, and his silver clothes ripped. In an instant, he looked like a feral beast. The same thing happened to the other guard. They appeared far more powerful than before. Are they displaying a secret skill? Jian Wushuang thought, snickering out loud. Although he knew he was correct, they must have displayed a secret skill to reform their bodies and increase their power. How? One of the guards roared and immediately dived at Jian Wushuang again. Seeing that the guards moved faster than before, Jian Wushuang pointed his sword defensively. It has been difficult for me to battle them before they used this secret skill. Now, it will prove even more difficult. I am no longer their match. Jian Wushuang shook his head and gulped. The next second, he waved his hand, and a flowing light flashed through the air. The light turned into a strong-built puppet fighter in the blink of an eye. Faceless, the puppet rushed the two guards. At the same time, about 1,000,000 divine gems were consumed inside the interspatial ring on his right index finger as he clenched his right hand, punching the guards with that power. An earth-shattering blow with the power of the superior 6 steps behind it. The two guards were the targets. The two remained calm, staring down the blow. They could tell it was powerful, but were unafraid. They swung their weapons at the puppets in unison. Boom! A thunderclap echoed all around. Where the sound came from, the void cracked like a glass window. Chapter 8:24. The First Streak of Sword Essence. Chapter 8:24. The First Streak of Sword Essence. Whoosh! Whoosh! The two guards hurtled back, almost at the same time. How could this be? This puppet fighter is really powerful. They all wore wide eyes and agape jaws as they looked on in shock. They went all out and joined their hands, but were still frustrated by the fist. This puppet fighter's power far exceeded their expectations. While the puppet fighter battled the two guards, Jian Wushuang turned to deal with Xia Yan. Phew! He charged Xia Yan like a huge magic sword, piercing through the void. A sliver of dark gold light flashed in his eyes as he looked at him. You wish me dead, but I'd love to witness who the dead one will truly be. As Jian Wushuang growled, his killing intent enveloped Xia Yan. Shit! Xia Yan grimaced with a gloomy expression when seeing this. Despite his insatiable desire to kill Jian Wushuang, he admitted that he was no match for him. Back then on the blood battle arena, Jian Wushuang defeated him with 3 weak strikes. Now, if Jian Wushuang went all out, he would be killed without question. Xia Yan remained calm at such a critical point and took out a copper sheet. The copper sheet looked normal. However, as he squeezed it tightly, the copper twisted and released an enormous power. Kaboom! The sky darkened, and all the nearby creatures trembled. The power all flowed to one place in the air, forming a huge bronze palm. The palm was so large that it covered half of the area and seemed able to destroy everything there. Hidden behind the palm, Xia Yan looked at Jian Wushuang with a ferocious smile while reflecting, I had thought that those two guards could kill you all by themselves, but I didn't expect your trump card, the puppet fighter. Now, I've shown you my trump card as well. You must feel proud. Go kill him. As Xia Yan hollered the order in a low voice, the bronze palm immediately fell toward Jian Wushuang, crushing the void and everything in its path. Where it passed, space burst, causing a spatial turbulence in a large area. Is this a Tao Master's power? Jian Wushuang swallowed hard while staring at the palm. It was so large and powerful that Jian Wushuang felt himself a tiny ant before an elephant. Its power paralyzed him. His power lives up to his status as the second master of the Xia Clan. Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed in a chilling manner, managing to remain calm. There was never a time when he did not take it for granted that Xia Yan, the second master of the Xia Clan, owned a life-saving item. He witnessed him eliminate an emperor weapon before. Therefore, it was certain that a person who possessed an emperor weapon would have some life-saving items. It's time to use my life-saving item. Jian Wushuang's eyes narrowed even more as he took out a token. He received the token from his master, Xian Yi, and inside it resided 3 streaks of sword essence. Using his will, he got hold of the first streak of sword essence. Then it will be a battle between your palm and my sword essence. Jian Wushuang ground his teeth. Just as the bronze palm was about to fall and crush him, a slight echo of the sword sounded. Following that, a dazzling sword light flashed where he stood. The light was thin and short, about 2 meters in length. However, there lay a formidable power behind it. The light shot forward and cut the void open, leaving a black gap. At an amazing speed, it hit right at the palm, behind which was the full power of a Tao master. A loud slashing sound echoed throughout the place when the light cut the palm into 2 parts down the middle. From the cut, a great amount of power radiated wildly toward the surroundings. The light was not weakened after it hit the palm. It came slashing toward Xia Yan under Jian Wushuang's will. Xing. The light was blindingly fast. It slashed through Xia Yan's body before he could react. He remained what he looked like before, only his bulged eyes were full of horror and disbelief. Making a life-saving item and storing power in it was very hard. Therefore, Xia Yan's copper sheet proved extremely precious. It had taken a powerful Tao master in his clan a lot of time to make it at a cost. Though some power had been lost during its storage, the power it released rivaled that of a Tao master. His father gave him this precious thing with the hope it could save his life someday in an emergency. That was the only life-saving item he owned despite his noble background. He never dreamed that Jian Wushuang's life-saving item was much more powerful than his. So much more powerful. In fact, the power behind that light could overpower a Tao master easily. After crumbling the bronze palm, it killed Xia Yan, and even after that, the light still radiated a mighty power. Under Jian Wushuang's will, the sword light flashed toward the 2 guards. Who created this sword light? With this question, Xia Yan lost the last trace of his consciousness. The second master of the Xia Clan, the former number 1 divine realm expert in the eternal world, died. Chapter 8:25, Fury. Chapter 8:25, Fury. Second master. No. Seeing Xia Yan's death, both the 2 guards turned pale with fright. After they saw the sword light flash towards them under Jian Wushuang's control, their fright plateaued. Just 2 guards with no life-saving item, like Xia Yan. The sword light still looked powerful after crumbling the bronze palm and killing Xia Yan. The power behind it diminished by 1/10, but it was the power of a Tao master which the 2 guards, as 2 eternal realm experts, could never withstand all the same. Damn! We're finished! The sword light stabbed the 2 guards at an amazing speed and pierced through their bodies one after the other, destroying their life cores. After that, the sword light finally disappeared in the air. Above the sea, with a wave of his hand, Jian Wushuang swiped the 3 dead men's treasures and interspatial rings and shattered their bodies. He sighed in relief after finishing and observed the token in his hand. Master said the first streak of sword essence was the weakest one among the three in this token. He narrowed his eyes while recalling Xian Yi's words. The sword essence he wielded mimicked the first streak. However, it still crumbled Xia Yan's bronze palm, behind which was the power of a Dao master too. Obviously, the palm proved no match for his sword essence. With the first streak of sword essence being so powerful, what about the other two streaks of sword essence? How powerful can they be? The Sunrise Sword Emperor, who crafted those sword essences, how powerful could he be? Jian Wushuang wandered in those thoughts for a moment, shaking his head. He stopped mulling over it and looked around while murmuring to himself, "I'd better leave this place now." He set off at once. An hour later after he left, an old figure appeared at this void. He none other than Elder, the great Dao master of the Xia Clan. He had a grave expression when he appeared. With chilling eyes, he scanned around and sensed the restrictions Xia Yan set and some remaining energy of the fight. Yes, right here, Second Master caught up with Jian Wushuang and battled him. He was less powerful than Jian Wushuang, but the two guards with him were the 6 steps of the Eternal Realm experts. Besides, he also had a life-saving item that Master gave him. It should have been easy for him to kill Jian Wushuang. However, he was the who perished. "You're reading on Novelful, thanks." The elder stroked his chin and pondered quietly. The core disciples of Xia Clan all had an object attached to their life in the clan. Therefore, the moment Xia Yan died, the clan knew it. Soon, Elder he realized it and rushed to the void, where Xia Yan died. Could it be Jian Wushuang killed Second Master? But Jian Wushuang is just a divine realm expert without any background. How could he kill Second Master and his 2 guards? Besides, Master said that he sensed Second Master used that copper sheet. So, why did Second Master die all the same? The elder frowned hard while trying to deduce the heart of the matter. Right then, he spotted a faint streak of sword essence gleaming in the air. This sword essence is so powerful. It's the king of the sword, invincible. Even though most of its power dissipated, it is still sharp and fierce. The person who created it must be extremely formidable. In the eternal world, no more than 5 people can create such a powerful sword essence. Who exactly is this person? A chilling light flashed in the elder's eyes. "No matter who you are, I won't let you escape." Above the vast sea, Jian Wushuang marched forward without delay, long sword straddled across his back. Having been far away from where he battled Xia Yan and sure that the Xia clansmen could not catch up, he finally rested on an uninhabited island. The Xia clan will be furious when they learn of Xia Yan's death, he thought to himself. Being the son of the master of the Xia clan and the brother of the #1 exceptional genius, as well as the youngest eternal realm expert in the eternal world, Xia Yan attained a high status in his clan. In no way would the clan not be enraged by his death. That was to say, Jian Wushuang offended the clan incredibly this time. He had to kill Xia Yan at that time. Otherwise, it would have been him. He might be a negligible man to the Xia clan, but even a rabbit would bite if cornered. Since Xia Yan had wished to kill him, no matter how eminent this man was, he dared to fight back. This was what kind of a person Jian Wushuang was. Since there is a grudge between Xia Yan and me, the clan must have known that he had ventured out to kill me. When they discover his death, they will conclude that I'm the murderer, as it's too easy for them to trace my background, master, and the ancient sect may be involved in this matter. Jian Wushuang pondered with a curled lower lip. I have to inform Master of this in advance, buying him some time to prepare for it. Having made up his mind, Jian Wushuang connected with Xian Yi, informing him of the whole thing. Xian Yi remained cool after hearing Jian Wushuang's words. He responded quickly to him, I figured as much. Don't worry, no harm will befall on sect. But you should still be careful. And don't get yourself killed by the Xia Clan. Having received his master's reply, Jian Wushuang sighed in great relief. He did not worry about himself. What concerned him more was that Xian Yi and the ancient sect would be dragged into this matter. After getting the reassuring response from his master, the burden weighing his heart lifted. Master is mighty. Besides, senior brother is now one of the 18 masters of the Void Temple. Given this, the Xia Clan will reconsider before they strike the ancient sect. I weep at my own weakness. Powerful enough to frighten the Xia Clan, they dare not mutter even a single word against me for killing a scum like Xia Yan. For a while, Jian Wushuang's complex feelings overwhelmed him, but he shook his head and ceased his pondering. By the way, as the second master of the Xia Clan must be rich and have many treasures. Let me see if any of them can be of any use. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang quickly pulled out Xia Yan's interspatial ring. He searched it meticulously. Chapter 8:26 Divergent Bloodstones. Chapter 8:26 Divergent Bloodstones. After a careful check, Jian Wushuang was surprised by what he had found in Xia Yan's interspatial ring. The second master of the Xia Clan is indeed rich. He has 500 million divine gems in his ring. Jian Wushuang let out a low cry. In the eternal world, the total assets of an average Tao master would be about 1 billion divine gems. It was such a great number that when the 3 magnates in the firmament territory were asked to give out this amount of divine gems, they were distressed. However, as a divine realm expert, Xia Clan had possessed 500 million divine gems, which was amazing. Apart from the divine gems, Jian Wushuang also found many treasures in Xia Yan's interspatial ring, including some natural treasures, many of which he did not recognize. Those things could also be of great value. Besides those, he also found some superior and precious secret skills. Though there was not a great number of them, they were worth a lot all the same. After a count, Jian Wushuang estimated that the value of Xia Yan's interspatial ring was as much as the total assets of a Tao master. Among all the treasures in the ring, 3 of them held the most value. The first one was the purple saber that Xia Yan had used to battle Jian Wushuang in the blood battle arena. The saber was, in fact, an emperor weapon, a weapon that would be valued even by a Tao master. However, to Jian Wushuang, it was useless, thus he decided to exchange it for some other treasures or divine gems when it was necessary. The second treasure was a mysterious scroll. The scroll looked ancient, and from it Jian Wushuang sensed a trace of terrifying sword essence. At first glance, Jian Wushuang had a feeling that the scroll would be very useful to him in cultivating the sword principle someday. Without a doubt, he knew the scroll was a rare treasure related to sword principle. To his disappointment, there was a complicated restriction on the scroll preventing him from opening it. He figured that it must be very hard to open it. Otherwise, Xia Yan would have managed to do so, as it had been in his possession for some time. If he was unable, there would have been many restriction makers in his clan to help him. Therefore, if the restriction on the scroll could have been removed, any one of them would have done so. This scroll is unusual. I can't open it now, but Master is skillful and excellent in refining weapons, elixirs, and making puppets, as well as formations. When I return back to the sect, I can ask him for help. He may know how to open it, Jian Wushuang thought. Thinking of this, he put the scroll away and turned to the last one of the 3 most precious treasures. He was very happy with what he saw. Among the 3 treasures, this one surprised even more than the others. This treasure was called the Divergent Bloodstone. The Divergent Bloodstone is a rare treasure which can attack people's consciousness. He had gotten the information from inside the Divergent Bloodstone. More accurately, the Divergent Bloodstone was a magic weapon made by human beings. However, it was quite unique. Like other magic weapons, the Divergent Bloodstone could greatly increase people's offensive power, but the power was also related to consciousness attacks. This kind of attack could damage an opponent's consciousness and potentially could completely destroy it. There were also some other skills in the eternal world that could affect people's consciousness, such as illusion skill, but those skills could only bewilder and cause people to hallucinate. They would not actually harm their consciousness. Therefore, they were not actually attacks on the consciousness. The skills that could attack people's consciousness were extremely rare in the eternal world. The odds of finding someone who knew of such skills was 1 in a million. After all, consciousness was too abstruse, and only by obscure means could an expert create it. Therefore, consciousness attacks were rarely seen in that world. For those who mastered consciousness attacks, the Divergent Bloodstone was of great use, but for those who had not, it would be rendered useless. The reason why Jian Wushuang was so happy when he saw the Divergent Bloodstone was that he had mastered one of the consciousness attacking skills. The mind-controlling secret skill, one of the 3 great secret skills of the ancient God clan. A skill which was designed as an attack on the consciousness. Back when he was still learning the skill in the ancient God clan, he had tried to use it several times, but because of his low status as a divine realm expert at that time, he was unable to practice it at a higher level. As a result, even if he displayed the skill with all his power, it would have little effect on the 3 or 4 steps experts. As for those experts above 5 steps, as long as their consciousnesses were not damaged or they were not in a panic, they would be unaffected by the mind-controlling secret skill even if they did not anticipate the attack. As I grow stronger, the opponents I meet are also more powerful, and most of them are 5 and even 6 steps experts. In light of this, I can hardly use mind-controlling secret skill to battle them, but now, with the help of the Divergent Bloodstone, that's all changed. Jian Wushuang's eyes were full of joy. This stone would greatly enhance his consciousness attack. The mind-controlling secret skill would be much more powerful now that it will be supported by the Divergent Bloodstone. Without hesitation, Jian Wushuang started binding the stone. He met no resistance during the process, and the stone quickly merged into his body. Mind-controlling secret skill. He attempted to display mind-controlling secret skill again. A magic power flowed through the Divergent Bloodstone and then swept over him. Because he did not use the skill on a human being, he could not see the specific effect, but he could tell it was 10 times more powerful than before. That was to say, now, this skill could not only affect the 3 and 4 steps experts, but also the 6 steps experts. Chapter 8:27, Blood Hades Prefecture. Chapter 8:27, Blood Hades Prefecture. With the consciousness attack being an unusual method, it will definitely kill an opponent if I use this attack unexpectedly. Jian Wushuang clenched his hands. As for the 3 most precious treasures in Xia Yan's interspatial ring, he had only had use for the Divergent Bloodstone at that time. Killing Xia Yan makes me the Xia Clan's target and will bring me many troubles. However, I have profited significantly from it. Jian Wushuang smiled when thinking of this. He then began to search Xia Yan's guards' interspatial rings. The 2 guards were experts in the 6 steps of the eternal realm and had always been with Xia Yan, so they were also wealthy, but Jian Wushuang found nothing in the rings that could be of his use. He did not set off again until he had regained all his power. He then left the island to the Tang of the East. As his destination was not far from the Cercis island, he finally got out of the vast sea below him and arrived there 10 days later. As the most ancient and once most powerful country, Tang of the East was immense. The 21 large prefectures in the Tang dynasty that Jian Wushuang had once visited were established by Emperor Xiao, based in fact on the Tang of the East. The difference being that Tang of the East had 36 prefectures in its territory. Each of 36 prefectures was 10 times larger than the Firmament territory. Jian Wushuang first arrived in the Blood Hades Prefecture. Though it was only a prefecture, the Blood Hades Prefecture was autonomous as a country. Countless clans here, both big and small, were embroiled in continuous conflict. At the heart of the prefecture was the Blood Hades city. It was a big city full of towering and splendid palaces and pavilions. Some of them were even floating magnificently in the air all the time. The streets there bustled with activity. Though this country was not as prosperous as it once was, it was still flourishing. The Tang dynasty Emperor Xiao established in the ancient world is a country of death, but this Tang of the East is on the opposite. Jian Wushuang was lost in thought while walking on the streets in the Blood Hades city. A moment later, he stepped into a shop. He then stepped into a secret chamber in the shop, sat down, and started reading information on this country. The information was no more detailed than what he had already known, except that there was a simple introduction on all the camps and forces of the country on it. Officially, the imperial house under Empress Lung's control was still in charge of this country, but beneath the surface, a tension was building nationwide. The 6 big clans, headed by the Xia Clan, whose leaders had secretly done many things behind the emperor's back, would not completely break their relationships with him. There seemed to be something they feared. The same was true of the mansion masters of the 36 prefectures. They respected the imperial house publicly, but behind closed doors, they all nurtured their own selfish intentions. Besides this, fierce battles had broken out between the Tang of the East and its 3 neighboring countries, the West Paradise South Mountain Kingdom and North Sea Kingdom. This country is suffering domestic troubles and foreign invasions. Who would have thought that a country of such prosperity could fall to this point? Jian Wushuang sighed while reading this. However, he did not care about the fate of this country. What really concerned him was Lung Wushuang. Lin Wan has said that the icy heart poison has gone deeper into Lung Wushuang's body, and that if she can't get treated soon, she may meet a bad end. Therefore, I must find her as soon as possible and stop her from getting worse. He pondered. He already had a plan: remove the poison in her body with his heavenly creation skill. At the same time, he was afraid that he would be unable to see her, as he was only a divine realm expert, and she was a distinguished person who had constantly stayed in her palace. His only chance came to him very soon. Royal Guard. He stared at the 3 words with hope in his eyes. Royal Guard was an army of elites who were responsible for public security inside and outside of the imperial palace. Its functions were similar to that of the Cercis army on Cercis Island. However, it was larger size than Cercis army. After all, Cercis army was only responsible for the safety of a small island, while the Royal Guard were responsible for an entire city. There were 10,000 people in the former, but the Royal Guard was 20 times larger than that. The weakest ones among both groups were superior divine realm expert. However, those in Royal Guard were selected from the most outstanding people in the 36 prefectures in the Tang of the East. Most of them were the best of the best, and could even battle the strongest divine realm experts. Every 100 years, some new members from across the nation would be selected to join the Royal Guard. When Jian Wushuang arrived in the country, it was just 3 months before the selection date. When that day came, the people in the Blood Hades city who wanted to join the Royal Guard would gather outside the city. After the first round of selecting, the weaker ones would be eliminated, and the stronger ones would be taken into the royal palace and progressed to a further test. Those who made it to the end of the selection could join the royal guard. Since I've just arrived on this land and have not built up any relations, I can't make any accomplishment with my current power now. The royal guard defends the imperial palace and is full of experts. It might be a good shelter for me. After I join it, I can improve my power while finding a way to see Lung Wushuang again. Jian Wushuang clenched his fists and was excited about his decision. On the same day, he signed up for the royal guard at the registry. Considering that he had killed Xia and the Xia Clan was looking for him everywhere, he used a new name when he signed up for registration. That new name was Blood Mountain. He named himself after the Blood Mountain sword. After that, he found a residence in the city and waited for the selection date to come. Chapter 8:28, Preliminary. Chapter 8:28, Preliminary. 3 months later, outside the Blood Hades city. It was the day on which the Royal Guard would recruit new members. Numerous superior divine realm experts rushed there from all corners of the Blood Hades Prefecture. As the Prefecture was a vast land full of experts, and the Royal Guard was the most elite troop with a nice remuneration in the country, a great number of experts were gathered outside the Blood Hades city. As a result, when Jian Wushuang arrived there, he could see a sea of faces. The amount of people there was estimated to be over 100,000. There are so many people. Though he had expected there to be a crowd, he was still amazed by the scene. 100,000 superior divine realm experts, more than all such experts in the firmament territory adding together. This was the turnout of candidates for a trial in the Blood Hades Prefecture. As one of them, Jian Wushuang waited silently at the edge of the crowd. In the void above the crowd were many sergeants in scarlet armors. Their aura was chilling. They were the soldiers of the Blood Hades Prefecture. A well-built tall man and a blue-haired lady acted as their leaders. These two were the commanders of the prefecture. "This is a huge crowd," said the tall man to the blue-haired lady while looking downwards. "Yes, just as the previous years. Though people know there is a strict standard to join the Royal Guard, they still come here in droves. The participants standing before us are over 100,000, but no more than 50 of them will make it to the end," the lady responded. "You're reading on novel full thanks." "I agree," the tall man nodded and added, "Though the ordinary soldiers in the Royal Guard are superior divine realm experts, they are the elite among them, as powerful as the top divine realm experts. The soldiers of our prefecture are elites too, evenly matched to the Cercis army of the Cercis Island, but they are inferior to the Royal Guard." "You're right, but now it's time to start the selection." The blue-haired lady spoke. The man observed the sky and nodded. He looked toward the crowd as he shouted, "Attention, everybody." His dignified voice immediately silenced the crowd. All participants all stood to attention as they looked at the man in awe. "Listen up, many of you will not be able to join the Royal Guard, the best troop in the country. Even the most ordinary soldier in the Royal Guard is chosen through a strenuous selection process, means that only 1 in every 1,000 will make it. Next, you'll have to go through the preliminary round held by our Blood Hades Prefecture. Get ready." The man's booming voice reverberated throughout the area. On hearing his voice, the superior divine realm experts among the crowd all took a deep breath to reach their peak. In a moment, they prepared themselves for anything. "Let's begin." A sharp light escaped the man's eyes as he shouted. Just then, an overwhelming force swept away from him. It pressed the experts standing below him like a huge mountain on their shoulders. All the experts looked as though they were struck by lightning. Puff, puff, puff. More than half of them could not resist coughing up a mouthful of blood and fell to their knees with a pale face under the pressure of the force. As for those who remained standing, their face turned red with pain, and they were struggling to keep their balance. Is this an aura suppression? Among the crowd, Jian Wushuang was also under the man's pressing aura. As soon as he felt the aura, he knew that the tall man was a top 6 steps expert, an expert of such strength. If he was to unleash the full power of his aura, he could explode a normal superior divine, realm expert, in an instant. Though the tall man was trying to suppress 100,000 people at the same time, his aura was still unbearable to many experts. Just in a short time, more than half of the experts had collapsed under the man's aura. Though the aura was powerful, Jian Wushuang was strong enough to bear it. He might be only a divine realm expert, but he was able to battle a 6 steps of the eternal realm expert. Even if all the power of the tall man's aura was on him, he would not be afraid. All the superior divine realm experts struggled to hold on under the man's aura. As time went by, the aura grew stronger, bringing the experts to their breaking points. One after another, many experts tumbled to the ground. Some fell to their knees, and within a short time, less than 800 people remained standing. Just then, the blue-haired lady finally spoke up. "That's enough." On hearing this, the tall man raised his eyebrows and restrained his aura. The struggling experts immediately felt the suppressing force on them disperse, and they all let out a sigh of relief, breathing heavily. Right then, a scarlet-armored soldier walked to the tall man and reported to him, "Commander, among all the participants, 680 of them made it to the end standing under your aura." "That's really a small number, isn't it?" The tall man frowned. "Not bad, actually. In the previous years, less than 600 of the participants made it to the end." The blue-haired lady replied with a smile. "All right." The tall man turned to the soldier and ordered, "Have those 680 people stay and tell everyone else to go back where they come from. They will not be able to join the royal guard, as they couldn't even pass the preliminary." "Yes, sir." The soldier left to give the order. As the order reached the participants, those who were informed that they did not pass the preliminary were unwilling to accept the results. However, no matter how reluctant they were, they had to wait another 100 years for the next selection of the Royal Guard. With most of the participants leaving, the place became more spacious and relaxed. Chapter 8:29, the second round of the selection. Chapter 8:29, the second round of the selection. In the open space stood the 680 experts who had passed the preliminary test. Jian Wushuang was among them. The tall man stood above the void, looking down at them, saying, "It's impressive that you survived under my aura. However, don't get too excited. You have simply passed the first round, and the following tests will be far more difficult. Next, I'll take you to one of the Royal Guard's campsites, and you'll have to battle the participants from other prefectures who have passed the preliminaries there. The winners of these battles will be able to join the Royal Guard." After saying this, the man turned to the blue-haired lady and asked, "Is the wormhole ready?" "Yes." The lady nodded. "It has cost us so many divine gems to set up this wormhole in order to transport these people." The tall man sighed. "We have no other choice. It would take us several years to get there on foot with those participants following. That's assuming that we don't encounter any unexpected trouble on the way," said the lady with a smile. "Right. Let's open the wormhole. I'll personally take those people to the campsite." The tall man ended the talking. Soon, he led those participants to a huge wormhole which could transport 100 people at a time. The 680 participants and some experts of the Blood Hades Prefecture were transported to the campsite in 7 separate batches. The campsite lay among endless ancient mountains. When they arrived, many people from other prefectures were already waiting there. The preliminary that was held in the Blood Hades Prefecture was aimed at eliminating the weaker participants. In the following rounds, all superior divine realm experts from the 36 prefectures who had passed the preliminary would have to take the following tests together. Those who had passed the preliminary of the Blood Hades Prefecture numbered around 680. The number from each prefecture was roughly the same. In total, there would be nearly 30,000 participants included in the following rounds. Moreover, all those candidates were obviously powerful, as they had passed the preliminary. Standing in the crowd with other participants from the Blood Hades Prefecture, Jian Wushuang could not help pondering. The preliminary was an aura suppression and ended so quick. What will the second round of elimination be? As he was lost in thought, a group of people flooded toward them in a gold light from the void, not far away. They moved fast in a large group with an overwhelming aura. When they got closer, Jian Wushuang could see that they were, in fact, a group of soldiers in gold armor. Each guard's armor was engraved with the golden dragon mark. They are the royal guards. They're the royal guards. How powerful their auras are. Those soldiers are in the superior divine realm just like us, but I can tell that every one of them is much stronger than we are. Staring at the gold-armored soldiers, the participants were excited and their eyes sparkled. Royal Guard, the strongest and most elite troop in the Tang of the East. To be a member of this troop is what had driven all those participants to the campsite. Are they the Royal Guards? Jian Wushuang looked at the golden-armored soldiers. He could feel an overbearing aura from them. Among those soldiers, he found that most of them were in the divine realm, while some of them were in the eternal realm. He even managed to sense some powerful auras, which he knew he had to take seriously. Just as I have heard, the Royal Guard really does have some experts. Jian Wushuang gasped in admiration. With his current power, he could battle a 6 steps of the Eternal Realm expert. In view of this, he could be among the stronger ones in the Royal Guard, though not among the elite of them. About 1,000 people of the Royal Guard were present in the campsite, and their leader was a beautiful young lady who was also dressed in gold armor. However, she had a killing intent between her eyebrows. Her eyes were chilling, her aura overbearing. The lady greeted the commanders of each of the 36 prefectures before casting a cold eye over the 30,000 participants. In an icy voice, she spoke up, "Listen up, only 1,000 of you will be able to join in our troop. That's to say, the rest of you will be eliminated." Her words electrified the participants. Soon, the place was in an uproar. These participants had all passed the preliminary held by their prefectures, which had fully demonstrated their power. However, only 1,000 of them will eventually be able to join the Royal Guard. Too harsh. The conditions of joining the Guard were indeed very harsh. The following tests are very simple. The lady's deep voice echoed once more. "We'll test your power. Wherever in the Tang of the East or the eternal world, power speaks louder than anything. It's the same in our Royal Guard. So, the following tests are aimed at finding the most powerful 1,000 among you, by having you battle each other. You are now standing in a special campsite of our Royal Guard, and a restriction has been created for it." As the lady's voice fell, a faint gold halo suddenly rose up, surrounded the campsite, and everyone in it. This restriction is created by an excellent formation maker. Inside it, you can fight, free of the fear that you'll be killed, because this restriction will protect your life by transporting you out of it before you get killed. However, being transported out also means that you're eliminated, and what you are required to do is to battle each other within the restriction. Just don't use the attacker or life-saving skill that uses the power of others. You can use any other means. until only 1,000 of you remain in the restriction. You understand? The lady looked around after saying those words. Chapter 830, A Wild Battle. Chapter 830, A Wild Battle. The crowd began to clamor once they heard the lady's words. Battle all by ourselves? I never thought that the second round would be a wild battle. Jian Wushuang eyes narrowed. 30,000 people must fight with any means within the restriction until 1,000 of them remain. The battle had to be intense. However, secure in the knowledge that they would not really be killed, the participants all felt better. Get ready! The lady scanned the crowd and lifted her hand before shouting, "Let the battle commence." Bum, bum, bum. The moment the words escaped the lady's lips, a fierce battle broke out among the crowd. With so many people fighting in such a small space, it promised to be a brutal battle. Kill! Kill! Go to hell! Get out of my way! Each of the participants from the 36 prefectures attacked those closest to them. At that point, regardless of who you were or where you were from, everyone around you was your enemy. Boom, boom, clang, clang. A series of heavy crashes resounded throughout the campsite. The fights had barely started when people began to get thrown out the restriction, one after another. Those people were killed by others and transported by the restriction. Soon, over 5,000 people had been eliminated, and the number was still rising. Before long, about 1/3 of the participants were transported out by the restriction. Outside the restriction, the sergeants of the Royal Guard and the commanders of the prefectures all watched the fight with great interest. They thought that, though there was a large number of participants, as long as they fought wildly, the battle would end soon. The participants are all excellent, and I've spotted over 100 top divine realm experts among them. One commander commented with a smile. Yeah, I agree. Someone nodded with approval. Normally, there would be only 1 or 2 top divine realm experts of a generation in a territory. However, the Tang of the East was so immense that even if just a small amount of such experts in each of its prefectures participated in the selection, the total number would be quite large. Therefore, over 100 divine realm experts stood out among the fighters in the restriction. Nevertheless, even those top experts had to be very careful in such a wild battle. After all, some top experts had been thrown out the battlefield as they had been besieged by many or encountered someone stronger than themselves. Inside the restriction, the battle carried on violently. Wung, a huge axe swung ferociously across the void. It cut the void open like splitting a mountain. A terrifying force came sweeping from it. The dozen superior divine realm experts in front of the axe were sent out of the restriction the moment the axe slashed through them, even though they were superior divine realm experts powerful enough to make it this far. Oh! The spectators' eyes were lit up by the strike. This strike is really powerful. The power behind it must be of step 4 of the Eternal Realm. Which prefecture does this guy come from? Ha ha! He is Azura from our Inconstancy Prefecture. Azura should be his alias. It's impressive indeed for him to gain such power as a divine realm expert. Few in the eternal world can achieve this. The commanders all praised the man. Many of the Royal Guard sergeants also looked toward Azura in amazement. For the Royal Guard, a top divine realm expert was nothing special, as any one of them could battle such an expert. In fact, the top divine realm experts could be divided into 3 separate groups: ordinary experts, exceptional genius, and extremely exceptional genius. Among them, the ordinary top experts were in the 1-step eternal realm, while the exceptional geniuses were in the 2 steps or 3 steps eternal realm. The extremely exceptional geniuses, such as Azura, were in step 4 of the Eternal Realm or even above. Naturally, experts such as this drew most of the attention. Azura may be the most powerful one among all the participants. One-on-one, none of them could be his match or take so much as a single move from him. One commander uttered his opinion. You're right. Apart from him, the next most powerful participant is barely in the step 3 and absolutely could not withstand his strike. The others all nodded their approval. Look, Azura is invincible in the restriction now. Obviously, Azura had become the topic of the commanders chatting. In a red robe and with a straight face, he launched a series of attacks with his double-edged giant axe, and where he passed, destruction reigned. No one could stand in his way, nor could anyone take a blow from him. At that time, he looked just like the real Azura. Unbeatable. Azura is coming at us. Run. Hurry. Stay away from him. Having learned of Azura's power, all the participants ran from him when they spotted him approaching. No one dared to challenge him. A group of trash. Azura sneered and looked around. A faint killing intent radiated from him. Suddenly, he sped up and moved toward a black figure. It seemed the figure did not expect this and struggled to dodge him. Humph! Azura snorted and swung his axe at the black figure casually. Though the strike seemed normal, it had the power of step 4 of the Eternal Realm. Even the best divine realm experts on that battlefield could not take the blow without being harmed, let alone the mediocre black figure who Azura had attacked. Everybody thought that the figure would be eliminated by Azura's strike like many before him. However, when the axe was about to hit the figure, a bright sword light suddenly flashed in the air. It came to meet the axe like lightning. Chapter 831, to be one of the Royal Guard. Chapter 831, to be one of the Royal Guard. Clang! The sound of metal on metal was heard. The straight-faced Azura changed his expression when the two weapons collided together. He quivered and fell one step backward. As for the black figure, he was not dead as others had expected. He wasn't even injured. He had merely fallen several steps backward as well. After regaining his balance, he immediately rushed away to battle other experts. This man actually managed to take my blow. Azura paused and looked toward the black figure with a frown. The onlookers outside the battlefield were all shocked. Who is that guy? He managed to take Azura's blow and wasn't even injured. He just fell a few steps backward. Go find out who he is, someone ordered. The commanders from the 36 prefectures immediately started investigating. A moment later, an expert came up to the commander of the Blood Hades prefecture and reported to him, "Commander, the man is Blood Mountain, a divine realm expert in our prefecture." "Really? He is from our prefecture?" The commander was startled at first, but then showed a big smile. "Ha ha, it's Blood Mountain from the Blood Hades prefecture. Good boy." Blood Mountain from the Blood Hades prefecture. This Blood Mountain is indeed powerful. So far, he is the only one who has managed to take a strike from Azura without being killed. Given that, he is second only to Azura. Well, he really has something. He has hidden his power to make himself look normal all this time, until he encountered Azura, without whom we would not have learned of the boy's power. We should have noticed him earlier. In this crazy battle, except for the extremely powerful experts like Azura, the rest have been busy fighting with others, always frustrated like drowned mice. However, this boy keeps his own pace and looks at ease all the time. Yeah, I can see it now that you've pointed it out. The commanders chatted and laughed. The black figure who had just taken Azura's strike was none other than Jian Wushuang. He had gone now to battle other experts, but he could not help glancing back at Azura. This man is powerful. Even I can't defeat him unless I transform into an ancient god, Jian Wushuang thought to himself. Now that we've fought, the onlookers must have figured out that I've been restraining my power. Jian Wushuang shook his head and stopped pondering over it. He wanted to avoid attracting too many eyes. He did not want to be spotted by the Xia Clan, but he was not too worried. Aside from the selection of the royal guard, he had not participated in any other public activities, plus he had used an alias. The Xia Clan would not find him yet. The wild battle had been going on for almost an hour, and the experts on the battlefield were becoming fewer and fewer. When there were 1,000 experts left in the restriction, the beautiful lady's voice echoed. Everybody stop fighting now. The voice resounded like thunder. The experts stopped fighting when they heard the voice. The restriction covering the place slowly disappeared, and the remaining 1,000 experts walked out of the battlefield. Among them, a few appeared to be okay, but most looked embarrassed and were panting heavily as if they almost could not have made it to the end. Jian Wushuang was among the former. This man. Azura could not help looking toward Jian Wushuang with his arms crossed over his chest, furrowing his eyebrows slightly. He was impressed by him, the only person who had managed to take his blow on the battlefield. In view of this, he thought Jian Wushuang was extraordinarily powerful, almost at the same level as him. The 1,000 people who have made it to the end can join the royal guard. As for the rest, you can return home now. The lady's voice echoed again. The experts who had failed felt bitter about their results, but there was nothing they could do about it. Some of them could have passed the round, but due to bad luck, they had encountered more powerful opponents or been besieged and lost the battle. The royal guard showed them no mercy. To join the royal guard, one had to be powerful first, then smart. Luck also counted. Those who were powerful enough to join the royal guard, but failed, only had themselves to blame. Commanders, please give me the details on the experts from your prefectures who passed the test and take the failed men back. The lady looked at the commanders as she spoke. The commanders exchanged looks before doing what they were told. After they left, the campsite became cold and quiet. The lady waved her hand and brought out several pieces of golden armor. Each piece had the golden dragon mark on it. The armor looked exactly the same as what the soldiers of the royal guard wore. In fact, there were two types of gold armor, inner armor and outer armor. From this moment on, you are members of the royal guard, the lady said in an icy voice. This is your armor. Whether you're carrying on a mission outside or inside the camp, you must wear it at all times. This is a regulation. The armor is specially made and can protect you to some extent, the lady continued. You can change its size if you want. Now, each of you can come here to receive your armor. The 1,000 experts who had passed went over to receive their armor. Jian Wushuang was no exception. When he received his armor, he found it was, in fact, a treasure and that he had to bind it before putting on it.